go, and we're live. So Gareth is working on some of his tech issues. Such are the joys. Oh, and he's looking nervous. So first, hello and welcome to everyone joining us. So Bookish Chaz, Heidi, Jenny. Big thank you as always to my team Rewatch, because I know woohoo, that's where a number of our people come from. And a big thank you to Gareth for joining me today. And he picked midnight. The dude never sleeps. He's like Ben. You guys are wild. I can't imagine the late things you guys do and how little you sleep.
Well, I actually fell asleep earlier when I got from work. So I've had a what we call over here a kip. I've had a kip or a nap.
Oh, you've had a kip. See, we call them a nap. It's amazing all the differences in terms. And it was funny because earlier on Ven's video today, because I had said the term boondoggle, and apparently not everyone knows what that is.
I've never heard of a boondoggle.
Really?
Yeah, what's a boondoggle?
A boondoggle is just a major mess, and you need to clean.
Oh, really?
But see, I'm 61, so I have these terms that all you little puppies don't know. You know, like peachy keen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know peachy keen, but I've never heard boondoggle before. That might be a
the younger generation calls it a cluster.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, see, you know that one.
Yeah.
Acre fuffle, as Jenny would say. Yes.
We might call it an S show, like.
'Tis true. So we have people saying hi.
Hello.
Chaz very happy. He's the first comment.
Hi, Chaz. I'll reply. Chaz messaged me earlier. I'll reply to you later, mate.
Nice. And Heidi saying hello.
Hi, Heidi.
Chaz saying hi. Jenny saying hi. It's been ages since I've seen you. What is it? A couple hours, Jenny? we were rebel rousing with Ven. Saying hi to everyone. Oh, there you go. Heidi wants to know, is this thing on? Hey, Jenny.
Is this thing on? Yeah.
Tea. At least Gareth hasn't lost his phone.
Got my tea.
Chuckles, cup of tea. Feel weird streaming without Dave and Olive.
Yeah, last time I thought I was streaming without Dave and Olive with Greg and Al. He appeared, so maybe Elaine's got him in the back cupboard waiting to come out.
You know what? I almost sent you a Voxer thing and said, should I ask him? And then I'm like, he knows we're doing a stream. He can show up like you did when I had him.
It's all good. It's all good.
Never heard. Oh, there you go. I guess I'm the only boondoggle person. Nobody knows what a boondoggle is. Maybe it's just my life and I'm used to that term. Have you, Bill Bryson? I have not. I will have to definitely check that out. I know I got food, forgot to go back to reading after Ven's. Hey, I am, before Gareth, all right, I am close to done book 1 of The Wheel of Time. Woohoo!
Wow.
I have this month to be done.
You enjoying it?
It's my reread, so I am super excited. And we are gonna, because Ven and I are co-hosting it together, because he'd been talking last year about hey Dee Dee, because he kept saying he wanted to reread it, but it's 15 books. It's huge and a big undertaking. So he kept saying it, and I finally said, do you want to do it as a buddy read? And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. And then our buddy read has become a group read. So there's Ven and myself, Dee Dee, who has joined us. Dee Dee has had a boondoggle with the library, and she's been waiting to get her copy of book one for ages. We have the book hermit, the bookworm, Almasi. So there's a whole group of us that are starting to read it, but for most of them, it's their first time. So Ven and I have to be super careful what we say
Yeah,
because we know what's coming up, right? But we don't want to spoil it for them. But
yeah,
to give you an idea, and it took me ages to so this is the first three books
right.
because I got mine in sets of three because
Yeah,
I'm a nerd like that. And one, because I'd seen it on Prime, the 8 episode season. And then I'm like, oh, these are based on books. Well, okay, I'm going to read the books. And then I really enjoyed the first three. Like Richard Jordan, Richard, no, Robert,
Robert
Robert
Jordan. Yeah,
Jordan does a great job of building the world, describing the characters, but I don't really give a fig Newton what color buttons they are or the jacket was. Like, get to the action and let's get on with it. So that's my only thing is the books could have been a tit shorter, but he describes like everything, right? Which
yeah.
isn't necessarily bad because you're immersed, like you know the clothes, the what's in the room, the whole and even though it's 15 books, you have a relatively small cast of characters throughout the entire series. And through the chapters, because they get divided, the characters get separated as they're all trying to get things figured out. So the point of view changes every now and again to different characters and what's happening with them, but it's relatively easy to keep up because you have a relatively small group of people to follow. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying the reread, but we're going to have to really play it out because the books are chunkers. So,
So,
yeah.
So when you said it's a reread, is it just the first book you're rereading, or have you read? So, well, no, you
No,
read the first three.
I read the whole series.
Oh,
And I wish I'd have known about my thrift store or something else then, but I didn't. This was in 2022 when the season when it first came out on
oh,
Prime. And
God, is it that longer?
yeah, and eight
Wow.
episodes to me isn't a season. I mean, I grew up with seasons 2025. That's a season, it's 25 episodes, not this 8 episodes guess whenever the hell we're starting again. And it's like, no, screw you. I'm going back to books because then I don't have to wait. I don't start a series as they're
Well,
coming out.
the series hasn't been very popular with the book fans, though, has it? Anyway, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think some people like the show, which is very different from the books.
Yeah.
And I mean, and
So
it's
you're
not
not
really a
gone.
spoiler, but in the series, Perrin is married. In the books, Perrin isn't married until like book 5 or 6. And there's so many differences in the show. I'm like, how are you people going to pull this off? Like,
Right.
even the way they describe the children of light is not like in the book. And I'm like, I get that you have to modify and change for TV, especially condensing from, say, what used to be 20 episodes to 8 episodes called a season. But there's some big, big changes that when you know how this story ends, it's not going to go well for the TV series because it's just not going to work out. But I can't say too much but yeah, so because I was such a spaz and I had to know how it end. This is why I've watched a lot of bad movies beginning to end because I have to know. And I had to know how the wheel, so I kept buying the box set, the box. So I finished that sucker in a year on top of all my other reading because
That's
I
pretty
had
impressive,
to know.
because a lot of people who read a fantasy series,
Yeah,
they read it like, where they're reading other things and it takes them ages. And, obviously Jenny's reading thousands of different series.
exactly.
Uh,
I don't know how she
uh,
can, but see, you
yeah,
got to remember, I sit at home and have no contact with most people other than YouTube, right? So my cats, other than distracting me stealing things, I have my day because hubby's at work. So I have my day to kind of read or depending
right.
on the weather and whatnot. So yeah, except for the prequel, which I still haven't read. So technically I read 14 books and they're all chunkers. And Ven and I right now are having a fun battle, but I'm still mad at him and Noah because I've started reading Akatar. Akatar was not on my radar. I didn't give a fig Newton. I never wanted to read it, and I don't read romance. Blech, not my dealio. Then someone said, well, don't think of it as romance and just So I read Akatar. Then I had to read the next book because Noah in a live stream said, well, you remind me of Nesta. And I'm like, who is this Nesta? Well, she's barely mentioned in book one. Then there's this crazy on hold list at my library. So I ended up getting part of book three. And Sue, one of my commenters, bless her heart's like, no, 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 you have to read them in order. And I started listening to the audio of book three because I can crank it up to 2.5 and still follow. And I'm like, oh, crap, I don't know what's happening. So then I got book two. It's 600 pages. So I knocked that off last weekend. And then silly me put the hold on book three at the library, forgot. No, that's now waiting for me this weekend. That's 700 pages. I'm like, no, I had enough chunkers. But I got to know. So I'm like, Van and Noah, there will be payback. Stinking series. Have
So,
you
so
read
you,
it?
are you enjoying the Court of Thorn and Roses then?
No, I am not. Therein lies the problem, Gareth.
So you really don't like it, but you feel like you need to finish the series.
I have to find out about Nesta and the parts with her. The book two, 600 pages,
Brilliant.
maybe 30 different parts had to do with Nesta. And the big hoo-ha was so underwhelming, I'd have thrown the damn book through the window. But it's the library, so I couldn't. I have to return it in one piece. I'm like, this,
Yeah.
this, this, Mist and Fury. Fury is correct. Made me mad. It's
So
a
that's the second one, is it?
chore. This is
That's
book two.
that's book
Now,
two.
here's the amazing thing. Here in Canada, it's teen. It is not teen in other places. And some of the scenes in here, like, give the kid a human sexuality book because there ain't nothing missing in this one either. I'm like, holy jump.
I don't know. We've got a YA section in our main Waterstones in Portsmouth, but I think it's in the main section. I think that series is in the main. Yeah, I think it's just in the main section.
I'm surprised because the city I live in here is very conservative, shall we say. So to have books like that in the teen section, I'm like, who decided that? Because everywhere else I'm hearing it's in the adult section. And
Right.
I'm like,
I
wow,
think it.
I
I
am
think people see
shocked.
it as YA in general. Do you know what I mean? If I saw
Hmm.
it in the main section, I'd still think it was YA. I think it's got that reputation.
I think it
Yeah.
is part because I mean a lot of it is the whole um, fairy human issues between the two groups and then the crossover. And there's a lot of parts to it. And for myself, this is how I ran into problems with Fourth Wing. I've read so many different series Harry Potter, Marked. I actually read the poem Dark Trilogies for banned books last year,
No, that's
and
brilliant.
then a couple other series. And so when I read Fourth Wing, to me, it just seemed like Yaros took all those YA series, stuck them in a blender, mushed them up, threw it at the wall to see what would stick, and then slapped it together and called it Fourth Wing. And I'm like,
Right.
no, I hate this book, except for the last 130 pages. But because we had a chat about this on one of my other live streams, actually with Kat, Ven, and Noah, who have all read Fourth Wing as well. If you're new to fantasy, you would love it because it is easy to follow. It's not over complex with characters.
Yeah.
And unlike me, you're not pulling everything in from what you've read and
Yeah.
going, oh, there's Hunger Games. Oh, there's Divergent. Oh, there's, Harry Potter, which for me it was a big bugaboo with the story, as well as the main character, Violet, is just obsessed with climbing this other character. And I don't care. If you were not as obsessed with him, you'd have caught some of the big clues that are important to the storyline. But no, let's all get boom chicka wah wah and think about nothing else. It's like, no, she's 20 years old. She's not a throbbing hormone that can't think of anything else. So it was not fun. But we're going to catch up on comments and then get to what I really I want to talk about a number of things, but this whole author average reader perspective as well. But so we have, hi, Jenny. Do what a pleasure. Yeah, see, a bunch of us were in Ven's this afternoon. Another wheelie. Gareth, get on board.
I'm reading so much at the moment. But
hey,
yeah, I will read it one day, I think.
Can't wait for the live, see what everyone's fave parts were. Library play. Yeah. I mean, poor Dee Dee's been waiting for months, like literally months. It's crazy. Dee Dee, they could have done that with ACOTAR for me. I would not have been sad because to fit 700 pages, hey, Constance, is like, it's crazy. Saying hi. DNFer.
Oh, we're DNFer.
Ooh, Chaz. Oh, you drive safely and be safe in California, Leslie. She's around the wildfires and mistakes. Yeah, see, Jenny, sweetie, we still got to teach you to DNF sometimes. And it's lucky Chaz DNF'd early because it's 14 books. And if it wasn't working, better to know early in the series than 12 books in.
Although you would have finished it anyway, considering you don't like the song of the Court of Fallen Roses anyway, eh?
Exactly. And see, the funny thing is, and see, Jenny will pick on me at some point because Kat and I keep telling her to DNF things. Like, she's got 4,000 books. Life's short. You got to make a decision to get through all those books.
Yeah.
I actually DNF'd a couple this year, but for me to DNF is rare. And it was a couple authors I tried again, and I was like, yeah, no, I didn't like you before, and I don't like reading about stupid people, so I just those two went out the window. But I don't DNF often, but I find it's getting a little bit easier to DNF, especially this year because I've got so many different reading plans and things. It's like, yeah, I don't have time to waste on a bad book. I want to be moving along here. So see, Heidi as well, watched the first episode, got on the books. And yeah, I had no idea it was an older series because I was a fan of Lord of the Rings. I'd read the books years ago, watched the movies. Somehow Wheel of Time never hit my radar, but I think around then, because for over 25 years, I pretty much stuck to nonfiction. So I wasn't really paying attention to anything new coming in that genre. I was still picking up the odd Stephen King or something, but this series totally, and I'm like, wow, I've been out of touch with fiction for a while because I think they started in the early 2000s. As I know, shame on me. All fair took me till around halfway before I got fully sucked in. That's with book one. Matt Cawthon, he's interesting and he definitely changes throughout the series. Fair enough. I like Matt. Yeah, I like Elias more too because there's a character who can communicate with wolves. In my world, that's awesome. Wolves, dragons, you're in. To be honest, it's why I'll never read Game of Thrones because I watched a couple of seasons. It doesn't go well for the dire wolves, so I'm not reading the books. That's just not going to happen. And that'll come back to our discussion, Gareth.
Yeah, yeah.
Love the prologues, one of the best cold opens I've ever read. Shame they didn't put in the show. Yeah, and see, Elias, I don't even remember him in the show. I know. I've enjoyed the show. Should have been the beginning. Get through my open series eventually on Ven's stream if I'm strict. Closer cat. Ooh, 10
Oh,
different
that's good.
series. Wow. New Spring is great. That's the prequel that I have yet to read. What happened to DNFing? Practice what you preach. In ACOTAR, Jenny, in my defense, I cannot mock Ven and Noah unless I know this whole stupid series. So I have to read them to make full effect of my mocking abilities. Although I think Ven's only read book one and Noah's reading on. It's like watching the OC, Pretty Little Liars, teen TV with the worst dialogue. Yeah, yeah, I can go with that. Very unhealthy relationships in ACOTAR. YA in Tennessee. Oh, okay. So I guess not just here in London. Started being sold, got moved to adult when people commented on the content. Yeah, there's not really a lot of spice in book one. And to be honest, if I'd stopped at book one, that would have been good. It was the other books that grated on my nerves. But book one, if I just stopped there, would have been fine because it was, as people say, like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And you could have pretended it was that happily ever after, but no, she kept writing. Should it DNF Neon Gods? Don't know that one. 27 weeks for B to come available. Yeah, after that, you definitely want. Okay, Elias is in season two. See, I haven't watched it in a bit, and I'm finding I watched 2 episodes as I started reading the first book again, and then I started getting confused. And I do keep notes, but I'm like, wait, was this in the book? Was that in the show? Okay, if I'm having a discussion about the book, no, so nope, I'm putting the TV watching on hold for now because I need better notes to keep it straight. Enjoy mocking Ven with Fourth Wing. Oh, you stinker, not or never intending to read it. I at least read Fourth Wing, Jenny. But so that will, speaking of notes, and so I just see, I pay attention when I'm at your live streams, Gareth. I was
We don't.
talking about mind webs, and this is
Yeah,
what you
mind
do.
webs.
And I use colors because I'm like that. And if I have scented markers, there's so much the better.
Oh,
My
that's all right.
kids,
We call them mind maps over here. So I know what
yeah.
you mean now. Yeah.
And yeah, my kids love doing, because I was an EA for 23 years, and my kids are like, yeah, I want to go work with Mrs. because she's got the smelly pencils and smelly markers, and it's so much fun. I'm like, right? Who can fail English when you got to work with me? So that's what I was talking about the other day with the colors and the mind webs. But
Ah,
yeah, the one thing I really wanted to cover with you, well, I mean, you're fun to chat with about anything,
no.
but with Stephen, and we'll use Stephen King as an example because we've both read Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers.
Yeah,
And you've read I Am Legend. I would never will, but I did read his Hal House, which I enjoyed, but
yeah.
there's no animals. And so I'm wondering, and because you're an author and a teacher and a reader, do you think for you reading Stephen King with those, hey, Pat, with those elements of animals, are you maybe looking at it? Because you made a comment about I Am Legend, about how it pointed out the loneliness and made the reader really understand it. Now, for me, animal things are a trigger. And so I can see what you were saying about it really pulling the reader in and getting that emotion going. But do you see it as an author, as a literary tool or a skill? Is that maybe the difference of it bothers me but didn't bother you?
Well, my first question, especially with anyone that says it's a trigger,
Uh,
what do you mean by it's a trigger? What does it do to you? Because I want to know
I
what
have
you're avoiding.
nightmares. It upsets me. I can't once I've seen it or I've read it, I can't unsee it and forget it. It's just disturbing for days.
Right.
But it never
Um,
used to be that way because I read Cujo years ago. I read Old Yeller when I was a kid. It's just more and more as I get older, it upsets me and sets me off as soon as I come up to something with animals.
it's
So
just a
that's what I mean by
it's a weird
trigger.
situation because obviously you won't be able to know every time an animal is in a book. Um,
Exactly. That's why I went to
animals,
nonfiction for decades.
right?
They're not in there. Ancient Egypt, Atlantis, all that kind of stuff. You ain't coming across any of that.
I mean, dogs especially,
Yeah.
and dogs equivalent because sometimes in science fiction, robots are essentially dogs. R2D2 is a dog, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so like, but dogs in particular would probably be the thing that upset you. Because it have to be like if it, probably robots don't accept upset you like a dog would.
No, it'd be
So
different.
yeah, so not
Dogs,
dog
cats.
replacements, not metaphorical dogs, but actual
Yeah,
dogs
yeah.
or cats. But especially dogs, they would be used in a book because of our relationship with dogs. They
Mm,
wouldn't use a pig or a sheep or a cow in the same way because we don't see those, even though they are very intelligent animals and a lot more
yeah.
intelligent than people think. Um, we don't have that relationship, that social relationship with them like we do with dogs, right? Just
Mm,
internationally, everyone around the world has a very special, close relationship with dogs. So they are a really good way of 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 telling a particular part of the story. So with I Am Legend in particular, the reason
mm,
why I was annoyed that there was a dog all the way through the Will Smith version
mm.
is because it's not just that there's a dog in that he has a dog in the book. He doesn't have a dog in the book. The dog appears out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and there's for a few chapters the dog becomes his focus or one of his focuses, but it does kind of become
Yeah,
his
yeah.
focus because he's so lonely. He's literally the last man, and he's got such hassle during the night, and in the day he's trying to find a cure and build his house back up again because they've been destroying his house through the night.
Mm,
And there's like this routine he's got, and it's a really crappy life he's got, and there's dogs there, and he's trying to goad it in. He's trying to put some food out, trying to get his
mm.
attention. It's just sort of mooching about, and it's so brilliant. But the point is, um, in the film, it's just got a dog.
Yeah.
So it's not a device to enhance the story. It's just a dog, Whereas in the book, it's there for a reason, and it's written so brilliantly because it absolutely it compounds what the whole book is doing, which
Yeah.
is to kind of explore what it would be like to be the last man on earth. So and because he's talking about how much he misses women in it as well,
Mm.
which is the one thing that I'm always intrigued to see if younger readers like this generation would
Yeah.
wouldn't like those bits because it's a bit more sexual, if you like. He misses sex, he misses looking at women and that kind of thing. So those kind of things are in there. I don't think it's dated, but then I'm in my 50s, so it'd be interesting to know if people in the 20s think it's dated.
Yeah.
So, but what is not dated is this fantastic bit. One of the best things about the book. So it goes over about 2 or 3 chapters. This relationship he's got with this dog is fantastic. So I do feel like if you literally would have weeks of nightmares, because I was kind of intrigued when you told me it was a trigger, because I just thought, well, if it just upsets you, well, that's the point of it, of something bad happening to an animal. It's supposed to upset you if it's there for a good reason, you know.
Exactly.
So it should be a trigger, but if it's a trigger that really literally would sort of take over your life for a few weeks and stop you functioning properly, that's different.
Exactly. That's a trigger.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of odd
right
because
now.
because that means you'll find it very hard to differentiate reality and fiction, isn't it?
See, no, because I get that it's fiction. I get that there really isn't an animal being injured. Like this isn't a based on true story. It's just
it's
because I
words.
can visually see it, it just bothers me. And I think that's part of it. I mean, growing up, granted I read Old Yeller and Cujo and I didn't have nightmares, whatever. But growing up on Saturday nights, we used to have The Wonderful World of Disney.
Right.
And, we used to watch that when I was a kid. And of course, more often than not, there was always some human doing something with an animal. And let's just say I have a very fancy vocabulary, even as a child. So I didn't see the end of most of those Disney movies because as soon as the animal got injured and my mouth started going, I was in my room not long after. Thus my reading excelled because I was in my room a lot.
But then you wouldn't see the end of it when they probably when the dog or the animal is probably fine, because it's a Disney film, so I'm sure there probably wasn't that many deaths. I mean, there would be things like,
but
I mean, Dumbo's mother dies at the beginning, and Bambi's mother dies at the beginning, doesn't she?
Yeah.
But they're plot devices. Do you know what I mean? That happens. Dumbo needs to be in that place, and you need to watch it to care about Dumbo.
I still want to kill the humans. They need to be annihilated.
We do much worse things than that anyway. I mean, but the thing about, because there are some absolutely horrendous things in some fiction that are, the unforgivable things, like, rape or something, that is horrific and far more horrible than what you tend to see done to dogs or animals or whatever. So that sort of stuff, it's usually, again, there because the character then learns from it and it sort of justifies what happens in the rest of the book, or at least puts more character into it. So there's some, not necessarily justification, but there's some development that comes from this horrific thing that happened to them. So, they're there for a reason. And if the reader skips those bits or doesn't want to see that bit, it's almost like they're after some sort of plateau of a reading experience, because the shocking bits, the upsetting bits, there's a payoff. There should be a payoff. There should be a reason why those bits are there. And if they're just there just for shock value, then there's no point reading the book anyway. Do you know what I mean? But if it's a good writer, if it's a good book, then there is a reason for it. I mean, the trigger. I've actually filmed a video. It's funny that you said you wanted to talk about this, because I have actually filmed a video that I needed to tweak it a little bit, so I took it off, and it was scheduled for about 3 days time, but I think it's going to be more like 8 days time or something. But it was bouncing off a book I read called Earthling by Sayaka Murata. And it was the second book I read by her. I had no idea it was going to be, the content was going to be like it was. It's very different from the first book. First book is quite light in some ways, even though it's kind of bizarre. She's definitely quirky and unpredictable. But the second book, Earthlings, it's got some really tough stuff in it.
Mm.
And I say in the video that it's really funny because you look at the cover and it just like looks like a light bit of fun. It's got like a childlike cover.
Yeah.
And she is a child through some of the book, but she goes through some horrible things, and then there's some really horrific things at the end. But I
Mm.
say in the video, I would not want a trigger warning because I wouldn't want to know what happens. You know,
Mm.
it was such a thrill and a surprise, and it made me want to keep reading it, wondering what the hell was going to happen next.
Mm.
And when I was reading, and I was literally reading the last chapter later because
Oh, wow.
I couldn't believe what she'd written. And if I'd have known beforehand, oh, by the way, there's this in it, then I would not have been reading it like that. I would have been reading it like, oh yeah, whatever, I've heard about this already. And it
Yeah.
just takes away, completely destroys the whole experience of the book, really.
And that's the challenge, isn't it? And because, like you say, and it's a tough call because when I'm going into a book, I don't necessarily want to have the list of trigger warnings, right? Because, like you say, that takes away from what's coming, what's going to happen, and all of that, whether it's animals or other issues. And listening to you, and I've been thinking about ACOTAR as well. And I was actually chatting with someone else about ACOTAR because my background is psychology. And there are so many things about ACOTAR that I'm just like, these people all needed to be in counseling before the shit hit the fan and anything happened in the story, let alone all the trauma. And it's trauma that they go through. Like they're all a
but
mess.
but that's the point, though. How it's written really does change how the reader is taking it in. So there
Mm.
are, I've heard that there's lots of unhealthy relationships in it, right?
Oh, understatement.
Yeah, but
Understatement.
but if the author's voice is not really focusing on that, then it would be quite easy to read it and not dwell on the fact that they're unhealthy relationships. Yeah.
Oh, you can't
Um,
miss it. There's unconsented sexual things, there's drugging, there's abuse, emotional, physical. It runs the gamut of, and I was actually chatting with someone of, I really hope when people read this, they don't think this is what a relationship's supposed to be like. Oh, look, he did this for me. He must love me. No, the dude's a douche, and you should turn around and run, honey. Don't walk, run. I
yeah.
don't
Well,
care if he's gay and you want to climb him like a mountain. Just forget it. There's other people out there. Keep looking.
to be fair, it's kind of quite realistic as well because sometimes I don't know why it happens, but sometimes I get some students that sit down next to me and they go, "Good morning." I go, "Good morning," and then they'll
Yeah.
start telling me about their love life. I'm like,
Oh,
don't need to know this. And some of the stuff they say, I'm like,
would they trust you?
you that's bad. You shouldn't be put up with that. Yeah, but and then they'll be telling me something that guy was like, but but he does that, or is that? And I'm like, what? Yeah, that
Yeah.
doesn't justify what you just told me. So it's real. There are people that don't see the unhealthiness in those things,
Oh, yeah.
but also I do think it really really matters how it's written. So you could write
Mm,
that, and your point of writing it is to highlight unhealthy relationships and to make a point about it and to comment on it and say, ladies, don't get into these relationships. And you would write it differently to how Sarah J. Maas writes, because I get the impression,
mm,
I haven't read it, but I get the impression that's not the point of her book. She's just there like doing a bit of fun, and she's kind of like a bit more gossipy, like, oh, you never guess who's blah 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 slept with kind of tone,
mm,
rather than, I'm going to teach you how to have a healthy relationship. But there would be people who would write like that because that
mm,
is their point, and they are trying to do something more constructive and more sort of more commentary on how to have a good relationship. So I
mm.
do think that the way it's written absolutely dictates the point of the book and how the reader reads it. So if you're reading it going, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous," there are probably thousands of people that are just reading it, and they're not, and they see it as juicy gossip rather than,
Yeah.
How offensive it is, or how annoying it is, or how you don't relate to the characters because they're idiots. There would be like that's those students I talked about. They were reading that, like thinking, yeah, that's what I'd be like.
Yeah.
So there's that element of it, and going back to Earthlings, and Stephen King as well. We can talk about Stephen King in a second because I've got something I can reference in a minute. But
Okay.
talking about Earthlings, when she's a really young child, so she's like really young. So I think it's before she's 10. I can't remember how old she is, but she's really young right at the beginning. And she has this really traumatic experience. I don't want to spoil it by saying what it is, because it'd be really cool if people want to read it.
Read
that's
it,
on the chat, and they don't. So I won't say exactly what it is, but it is awful. Really, really. You really shocked, especially if you're not expecting it to be a light read, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But how because it's first person narration, so how she reacts to it, how she explains what it is, and how she then proceeds afterwards, it's so innocent that it doesn't, it's not like, it's the opposite of having an explicit scene described to you. It's like incredibly implicit, so you can read it and you know what's happening, but it's been kind of sanitized by the innocence of the description. So I think I think that's really clever, but two, it's a really interesting experience because you're reading it and you're not being affected by it. A lot of time I wasn't anyway, because of how sanitized it is, but you're also fully aware of what you've just read, but it's not upsetting as it would be if you had all the details and you were like, this is awful what I'm reading. So I think that's one interesting way of telling a story with awful things in it that aren't quite so triggering.
Right.
But going back to Stephen King for a second, I do say in this video that's about to come out that even though I'm not fully sold on trigger warnings, although I do get, if you're, I didn't imagine you'd have weeks of nightmares over a scene in a book, but even though I'm not fully sold on it because of that idea of the spoilers aspect of it, I did say that if I was to be worried about trigger warnings, for me it would be domestic violence. I can't handle domestic violence because of my childhood, and I've been irrevocably damaged by my father. So without saying too much and getting upset. So I don't like
your life experience. You can't
absolutely
just shove that aside. Like that's those memories are part of who you are.
And it's
right.
It's something I've processed over the years. And I know that it just comes up now and again. So like you say, that is why it's quite a good word, trigger warning, because sometimes it can be triggered. It can be,
and it's when you least expect it.
And I do say in the video that there's a film called Kneel by Mouth, which is a film that I know is about a guy that one of the things they're doing is beating up his wife. And I've avoided the film, even though I know it's really good. My wife's seen it and she says it's an amazing film. It's a very acclaimed film, British film with a fantastic actor in it. So I'm sure I know it's a brilliant film, but I've avoided it because I know that that's in it. But I get the sense that it's quite a big part of the film. And I've even avoided Raging Bull because I know that's in it. But I'd like to see it, and I feel like if I saw Raging Bull, I would probably enjoy the film more than being upset by some scenes in it. So I feel like it's detrimental to me that I haven't seen Raging Bull because I'm avoiding that because I think it's going to be a trigger thing. And I say in the video, there's a Stephen King book called Rose Madder that I know has got domestic violence in it, and I've avoided it. I've owned the book for quite a number of years, and I've avoided it. But I should read it, and part of the reason why I should read it is because I want to read everything by him anyway. But also, my favorite Stephen King book, my all-time favorite Stephen King book, is 11. I'm going to try and remember.
The one about Lincoln.
11, 22, 63.
I saw the miniseries. Haven't read the book.
Oh, so brilliant. But again, without spoilers, see, once you start talking about trigger warnings and once you start
Yep.
people putting, I'm going to spoil something, but there is domestic violence in that book.
Mhm.
And I obviously wasn't expecting it. I thought it was a guy that was
Mm.
trying to stop the JFK assassination.
Yep.
But it's not really about that. He meets, when he goes back to the 60s, he meets a woman and he basically wants to rescue her from this horrible situation she's in.
Mhm.
And it's a fantastic subplot. Well, in a way, it's the main plot, but it's a really good subplot. It's brilliantly written. There are some horrible scenes in it,
Mm.
and I read them fine. Even though I'm trying to avoid that, and I feel
Yeah.
like I should. I don't. Well, do I feel like it? But if someone spoke to me about trigger warnings, I would mention that theme and say that could be a thing for me. But I don't. But I've never deliberately looked for trigger warnings.
Mm.
But I know that there's some films I've avoided, for example, and there's that book Rose Madder I've avoided. But I didn't know about it in that book, and it was fine. I read it, and it was fine. I didn't have
Yeah.
nightmares. I didn't, I mean, I do sometimes have nightmares anyway, but I didn't have nightmares because of that book. So yeah. I just feel like sometimes you feel like you can't handle something, and you can, and if it's a good
Yeah.
story, then it might be worth it. It might be
See,
worth it.
it's a tough line, isn't it? Because, like I say, and to be honest, it's why I prefer physical books to audio. Because if I have a physical book, and I'm one of these people who I usually have my finger going when I'm reading, just to whether it's down the side or literally down the lines. So I know if there's something coming with an animal on a physical book, I can quickly skim up above and below whether, can I skip this but not miss part of the story? Yes, Jenny, I know you were talking to me earlier about skimming and bad girl. Must not skim.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can skip some of the words. It's not a big deal. But see, in an audiobook, I can't do that because you're
No.
just boom. And it's funny because it was when I was working with students who have autism and Asperger's that I finally clued in how visual I am. And I always have movies going in the back of my head. It can get immensely distracting sometimes. Because,
Yeah.
for example, if you mention a name or something, I've suddenly got that image somewhere around me. And that's why the things with the animals, right? If I've read it or I've heard it, then it's there and it'll
I
loop.
think most people visualize when they read. Um,
Probably.
I wish I was better at it. I visualize to an extent, but I do sometimes. I'll see someone review a book after I've read it, and they'll be talking about some symbolism in a scene, and they'll be
Mm.
describing the scene, and I think, oh wow, that's not how I pictured that scene. It's because I didn't read it properly, you know.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes I can miss some of the finer details, but I think we all visualize because otherwise I don't think it'd be very real, you know.
Mm.
Um, and it's like people who you should say this new generation of TikTokers that say they just read the dialogue. You just think,
Mm.
well, how the hell do you know what's going on if you just read the dialogue? You know. So I think
Yep.
we do visualize, but talking about Cujo, because I'm intrigued by the fact that you
That I
won't read
could
it
read
because
it.
did you actually read it?
I read it and I watched the movie.
Right. So because if you'd have avoided Cujo because of the fact that Cujo's a dog and clearly it's the main character, um, I would have said to you that it's not really a dog in the sense that
Yep.
St. Bernard would not act like that.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
it's
Well,
basically a
maybe if
monster.
it's rabid.
Yeah, but it's a monster, isn't it? It's like it's it's a dog in the sense of the town are shocked by the fact that it's a dog attack,
Mm.
or it's on the attack because it's obviously more than one attack. But um, to be honest, the shocking thing in that book, I'm not going to spoil it because it
Yeah.
really would. That's such a big spoiler. But the shocking part of the book is the end, and that's not a dog thing.
Mm.
I couldn't believe that he did that at the end, and I thought I think it's brilliant, and I think the ending is brilliant, but it's so upsetting, and it's got nothing to do with the dog, you know.
See, and yeah, I read it. I mean, again, the age thing, right? So I started reading Stephen King when Carrie came out. So in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I read him right up until Dolores Claiborne, I think was the last one. I wasn't big on the Gunslinger and that. I think that series started around before Dolores. The
Right.
only Stephen King book that has literally scared the hell out of me was Misery,
Right.
because all the others are so out there, right? Like Pennywise is not coming to town anytime soon,
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They're more
Tommy
fantastical.
Knockers. And see, Tommy Knockers, I read too. So that's not happening to anybody else's Jack Russell, if you've read Tommy Knockers. And yeah, it was just, but Misery, there are batshit crazy people out there, man. Like
Yeah.
Misery
Yeah.
could
Yeah. Yeah. Misery can
happen.
happen. Yeah, that can happen.
It could
I mean, yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's not an animal. That obviously.
Exactly. Humans
Um.
are scary.
Yeah.
Give me a
Um.
vampire. Give me a werewolf. I'm good. Put me in a room with humans. It's like,
Yeah. 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 And he's good at writing horrible humans. I mean, I've raved
oh,
about
he
Holly.
is.
And Holly, the book Holly, and the villains in that are two old people, and
Mm.
they are vicious, nasty bastards in that book.
Oh,
They are really horrible, and they're this elderly couple. It's brilliant. Um, so if you read Stephen King, then even elderly couples can't be trusted.
nobody with Stephen King. Well, and see, so that takes us back to Mr. Mercedes.
Yeah,
I almost DNF'd it with Odell, and then
right.
I cheated and read ahead, popped ahead and went, okay, dog's good. We'll finish the book. Yes, I cheat, but it wasn't one that I read the last chapter to figure it out. Am I going to
So
finish this?
just to rewind us that you nearly DNF'd it because you saw a dog in it, but one of the first things that happens in the book is a guy mowing down loads of people in a car.
I can read that. I know there's something wrong with me. That part didn't bother. There's 8 billion people on the
Elaine, you're a
planet,
sociopath.
Gareth.
That's what's happening here. You're a sociopath.
I am. And
You
I
don't
have a
care about people.
and I have a degree in psychology, so I know exactly what to do with all of that. Now, to be fair, had that been on the news in a real event, that would have bothered me. And again, so you bring this up, right? I can distinguish all those. I mean, I read Michael McDowell. That dude eliminated an entire town in a book, and I didn't bat an eyelash.
But then you read a bit about a dog being happening, and you're like, I can't read this anymore.
Oh, if there'd been a dog in that town, I'd have lost my mind. Boom, that book would have been done.
It's kind of odd.
McDowell could have
I love
eliminated a
dogs,
whole
Ralph. I do
town.
love dogs, mate. I love dogs, but
I know you do.
I can read about them being harmed.
Well, and see, I think because I grew up on a farm, we always had dogs. And for me, and I'm not getting into it, childhood was not a happy time. It's when people say, oh, would you like to be young again? I'm like, are you on crack? No, I survived once. Thank you. I'm not going back ever. Not sure I'd go through it the second time as well as I. So for me, I think that's what because the animals are what kept me going. And, I've got my cats. So they've always been important to me. So when I read anything with animals, it bugs me. And I know it's fiction and all of that. Humans, I don't know. I'm not
but
a
it but but
I'm
it
not
is
a
supposed.
sociopath. It's just there's 8 billion on the planet, Gareth.
But it,
Some gotta go, man. They gotta
but
go.
but it is supposed to bug you. If you just said, "Oh, it bugs me," it'd be like, "Well, that's fine. It's supposed to." It's the idea that it gives you nightmares for weeks that makes it a bit different. But the
Yeah.
people that avoid something because it bugs them or it'll upset them, that's when I think, yeah, but that's the point if you're reading it. It's supposed to be
Mm.
upsetting, and then there's some payoff, from the book. There's some reason why it's there. So that's the thing, isn't it? That the idea that it bugs you just depends on what scale you're talking about. If you're avoiding
Mm.
anything that would be slightly upsetting or even a little bit more upsetting, but you can still deal with it, then that means you're losing out on reading good fiction, isn't it?
Mm. Well, see, and even with Stephen King and or Salem's Lot, I mean, I love that book.
It's a
But you
great
know
book.
what? I've blocked out what happens to the dog. I've read it each
I
time,
can't
and
remember.
oh, it's not good. But I read Salem's I read Salem's Lot when it came out. That was my second vampire book after Dracula. But
I
I
think he uses.
blocked
I think he
out.
puts dogs in fiction a lot. I think he loves dogs. I think he's had dogs, isn't he? I think Stephen King
I don't know, but he's
himself.
never good to them in the books, man. You keep saying he loves dogs, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. But
brutal
he
in
loves.
these
But
books.
that's the point. That's the point. Because he loves dogs, he knows how much they mean to us. So they're really good things to put in a plot and in a setting, because they mean something to the characters that are in the book. So
Dude needs to
it
find
does. It
another
does.
way.
No, because why would you? Because dogs. There's no other animal. Oh, there's no other. There. If you constantly
That's
kill
what's after
children
the book.
because children mean something to humans, that'd be mental. Oh, he's got a problem with children. That'd be bizarre. So I think it to me that's weirder. If someone had an obsession with killing children,
Ugh.
that would be weirder than having sort of a frequent appearance of dogs in their books. If
Mm,
there's a horror writer or thriller writer and something happens to them. So it is because he loves dogs. He knows how much they mean to us.
mm,
Um, my dogs. I've said this before on the live. I'm saying it more and more this year, last year.
mm.
But all three of my animals are really old.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose. I think I'm gonna lose Chico first. But
Aw.
my cat's older than both of them. She's about a year and a half older. She doesn't look like she's aged. She's going a bit crazy, but
Mm.
she's 17.
Yeah.
She'll be 18 soon. They're going to be 17 soon. That's
Wow.
old. So
Yeah.
so I'm going to lose them, and that's going to be
Mm.
horrible. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
bound to talk about it on the channel, and it's just going to be horrible. But the fact that I know how much dogs mean to us and what our relationships with dogs are like,
Yeah.
I can see myself writing about dogs and something happening to the dogs. I can absolutely see that at some point.
Mm,
I don't think I've done that yet. I'm trying to. No, I haven't actually had dogs in any of my fiction.
mm.
But if I did, it'd be because I love dogs and know how much they mean to us.
Yeah. See, and
Is
that's an excellent point, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it because, I mean, like I said, my perspective's a bit different. I'm not a writer, and it's funny, and I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older or the world is wonky, whatever, but I do find, especially now when I'm reading, and I mean, I was in schools for 23 years, so it isn't like I was a caseworker recently, but I avoid true crime and some other things because I don't need to read about my old clients. I know things I'd rather never have known in my whole life. But I find as I'm reading these things, like even with Akatar in this book too, I wasn't really reading characters. I was like, oh my God, someone needs to get you a plan of care and into counseling like yesterday. And I'm missing the story because I'm thinking of all these different things from a psychology perspective. And that bugs me because for me,
but yeah,
reading should be an escape. I'm not supposed to be analyzing or overthinking it. I just read and have fun with it.
but that can be on you though. That's the way
Yeah.
you're reading it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'll never forget going to. I wish I could remember the film. It might have been no, it wouldn't have been that. I can't remember what film it was anyway. But I went to see a film many years ago. I'll never forget my mate's reaction. We walked out of the cinema. I said,
Mm.
"What did you think?" It might have been. Is it called Bob Roberts, the Tim Robbins one about the right wing politician? Is it called Bob Roberts?
Oh, not sure.
Um, but anyway, we walked out of the cinema, and I said, "What do you think?" I was like glowing because I loved it. And he
Mm.
said, "Oh, I didn't like it at all." I said, "You didn't like the film?" He said, "No, I just didn't like the character." And I'm like, "Well, you're not supposed to like the character." And he couldn't enjoy the film because he didn't like the character. And it's like, but it's a really good film. What do you mean he didn't like the character? You're not supposed to like the character. Um, so it's like if people are reading something, because I've seen this so many times with reviews on BookTube, You know, I couldn't get on with this film, with this book, because it just, the characters piss me off. You know, why are they doing that? You know, it's like, or in thrillers and mystery and crime stuff, when the characters are stupid because they'll do something stupid, and it's like, well, that keeps the plot going. If they did everything correctly and cleverly and solved the crime in 20 pages, then clearly there's no book. You know, so people have to act stupid in crime and horror and thriller and stuff, for, you know, and people are stupid as well, so you might be more intelligent than the average character, so, you know, those people that kind of make those judgments on books, it always cracks me up, because I just think, well, one, unlikable characters are sometimes part of why you enjoy a book, and stupid characters are sometimes why a book has to happen and why it keeps happening, and you've got a beginning, middle, and an end, you know. But people are a bit like, well, that was crap, you know, or I couldn't get on with that because, you know, and it'll be related to how they're reading it rather than what the author was trying to get you to experience, you know. I was just thinking of another thing with spoilers. I didn't talk about this in the video, I don't think, but this is a really good example as a parent, right? A parent experience, going back to films again, because I think they're good examples, because they do take you by surprise a lot. And any parent, my age especially, because of when the film came out, that that rented the film Bridge to Terabithia.
I've heard of the book, but I've not read the book or seen the film.
Okay, so I don't really think it matters if I spoil it, because it's very old, and it's fine. It's a very good film. It's a very good children's film. It's not really it's not an adult film, really, because I think the main content of the film is designed for kids and their perspective and stuff. It's mostly, from what I remember, it's really about a school teacher's, like a primary school teacher, young kids, her sort of relationship with these two kids that are a bit different, and the way that she kind of helps them through a difficult time. So it's a lovely story, but oh my God, being a parent watching it, and like, I don't know, about 40 minutes in, one of the main characters dies, and both my kids are like sort of weeping uncontrollably, and I'm just thinking, what have I done? What have I shown in this film? And then by the end of the film, they absolutely loved the film. They carried on watching it over and over again in their own rooms. It's one of their favorite films as kids. I'm like, well, actually, that's got to be thought about. The fact that, oh my God, what have I done to them? And what I've done to them is given them this film that they really love. That was a really like formative experience watching it. And the film is kind of about grief and about dealing with the fact that someone had died. And clearly, if it wasn't going to have that sort of potentially triggering thing of someone dying, then you wouldn't be able to have that thing afterwards where you've got the film exploring grief and death and that kind of thing, you know. So I think, again, if I'd have known before, I might have thought, I'm not going to rent that one because it's got some dodgy bits in it. But I didn't know about it, and they had a really positive experience with it, even though I was looking at them crying like for ages, trying to get over what they just seen. And it's done very well. I mean, you really do care about the character in half an hour. So when it happens, you're like, Jesus, you know, it's such a shock. As an adult, it's such a shock. But then you're looking at your kids going, oh dear, what have I done? You know. You know, but talking about dogs again and about films, one of my earliest memories of watching a film. So I was a kid. I was about, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something. And there's a film called The Great Santini with Robert Duvall in it. And I don't remember anything about the film now, 40 years later. I don't remember anything about the film except one thing, when this Alsatian died. And and basically it was I think someone came, he had this like trailer, and somebody came along to kill him, to shoot him. I can't remember the context, to shoot this character, Robert Duvall's character. And he had this dog in the trailer with him, and the dog, I know the dog was like a close relation. It was like the dog was in a lot of scenes, so it was like it just sort of spring out of nowhere. And the dog deliberately went in the way of the bullet. And I remember I missed the next 20 minutes as a kid. I was just crying like for ages. It was really upsetting, but I'll never forget it. And I remember I really loved the film at the time. But it was just really, really upsetting. and again, going back to that thing, there must have been a reason why that was there, and it was formative in that sense. It did
Yeah.
affect me as a kid. So I know
Yeah.
to see if anyone in comments have seen either Bridge to Terabithia, which they might
I
have
was
done because he's
gonna
quite more of the Grey Santini.
I was gonna say, I better catch up on comments, but this has been, because it is a great chat and important points about, what do we bring to a book and our expectations and our life experiences. And you bring
Mm.
up a valid point. Should there be trigger warnings? Does that ruin the story? It's complex, right? It's not
My,
clear
my my
cut.
first novel has a teenager being tortured in it,
Mm,
but actually being tortured by
yeah.
a sort of dystopian-ish government on a different planet. He's like a
Mm,
teenager. He's like, oh, what is he? He's like 15.
yeah.
That's horrible. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But you know, I don't want
But
any. I don't really want to trigger one and say there's a child being tortured in this book.
yeah. Well, and again, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because there are elements and ways to do it, and there's an important reason for it. And I agree with what you're saying about, with King and why he does that with dogs. And I mean, some of his people, like finders keepers, bleh. I mean, the main character in that is just nasty, vile, disgusting. And then, of course, we bring back the dude in the coma and all. And I'm like, why is he here? Oh, because you're writing a third book. But who cares? Like, I liked Holly. I like Bill Hodges. Why did we have to have the dude in the hospital coming up here in the
Yeah.
midst of all this other stuff?
Which one is? Because there's been a while now. Is Finders Keepers
Second
or End of
is,
Watch? Which one's the one with the suicides?
um,
Is
let's
that End of
see.
Watch? Is it because he makes? Doesn't he make them do
Oh,
it?
wait, isn't Mercedes the one?
No, Miss Mercedes is the one where the guy's running over the people and he's got to find who did it and all that. It's
Then
just
it
a much simpler plot.
must
But
be
I know
Finders.
Finders Keepers is about the author. So yeah, it is End of Watch. End of Watch.
Oh, see, I haven't
Um,
read that one then.
no, because End of Watch, I wouldn't be surprised if it had trigger warnings on it because there's so much of it is about suicide.
Ah,
Um, and you can probably imagine when you're reading it, you think, Jesus, he's being quite flippant about this. But then you read the editor's note at the end, and he wants to write it because he thinks it's a really serious problem in America, and he wants to address it in
eh,
a thriller. And I think that's really cool. And the way, and when you think of it like that, you think actually, yeah, he's creating a conversation through
mm,
this horrible plot. It's really quite a disturbing plot, and it's one of the nastiest villains really that I can think of. It's a really horrible thing that Stephen King decided this character was going to do.
mm,
I've dealt with suicide in my job and had suicide in my past and stuff.
yeah,
It's not something that I treat lightly. So when I was
mm,
reading it, I was just thinking, wow, this is heavy and uncomfortable to read. But that's the point, you know. If you're
mm.
reading a thriller or a horror, it shouldn't really be comfortable and cozy, should it?
Well, no, I mean thriller and horror, exactly. And yeah, it's again, it's and same. I mean, there's the suicide of some of my clients, some of my former
Mm,
students, and
mm.
so many others. And yeah, so it's not a light topic. And it's hard because you can't monitor everything you say or how you describe it. It's certainly not with social media and now. And you don't, it's hard because you don't know what people are going to do with the information. Do you know what I mean? Like if you talk about something and someone's got those thoughts in their head, and then it just becomes a big bugaboo, is if was that the tipping point?
But then
But
but then you're suggesting that Ozzy Osbourne should have been in on trial for suicide solution, which I will never
but
ever agree with. I don't think he should have been on trial for suicide solution.
see, and that's it, right? Is because there's the personal responsibility, and if you know you're having those thoughts, reaching out, getting support, contacting people, all the rest of it. Yeah, it's such a complex issue. And to be
It is
honest,
complex.
not that, any of my first videos were deep, 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 but the biggest thing that held me back starting out initially was, what if I say the wrong thing?
Yeah, yeah, that is a worry with having your own channel, and
You
you don't know
know?
when it's going to be the wrong thing, and you don't know how far you can push it. Because I was worried, and that's been part of the reason why I delayed it a bit. I was worried I didn't want to upset or offend anyone for being dubious about trigger warnings, because people might be like, well, are you, I feel like you're having to go at me because I like trigger warnings, and so I wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, there is a worry that you are saying the wrong thing, or that you're or upsetting someone that you don't want to upset. You're
Yeah.
just chatting. you know
But
so
I
yeah.
mean, and then it occurred to, can't talk. Then it occurred to me, it doesn't matter what I say or how carefully I word it, you're going to piss somebody off
Yeah,
because
yeah.
everyone has different viewpoints, right? I
you
mean,
you you can only just look at it, and if you're happy with how you said it, then that's the only barometer you got, really.
well, and I figure as long as you're being respectful and you're not being snarky or snotty about it, or,
Yeah,
this is my way, and
yeah,
no,
that does my head
right?
in. Booktubers and YouTubers that are really absolute with everything. This is the truth. This is how everyone should be. Yeah, that annoys the hell out of me. Yeah,
Can't stand that.
no.
Okay, we got to catch up. If I start, I'll have to finish. So, nope, I'm staying away from it. That's got to be from one of her series.
Put it with a
Oh,
time
Fourth
still.
Wing, the
Oh,
Fourth
feel free.
Wing series. Hey, Pat. Hey, Pat. Hey, Pat. Hey, Jenny Jazz. Seeing the animals being avenged. And
Yeah.
see John Wick.
John Wick, yeah. I still haven't seen John Wick. I really need to see. Me and my wife are saying we need to see the John Wick films. I'm sure I love them.
Love Keanu Reeves. I have not seen John Wick. I know it does not go well for Daisy. Don't want to see that scene. Bug me for days. Love me, Keanu, but not watching Wick. Plus, they're all shoot 'em up, bang, bang. So, no. Oh, hey, Kat's here. Oh, Margaret's here as well. Hello. So here, I'm gonna stop for a minute because I've seen all four people. Don't know if you've seen my post or that, but this will be our advertising portion of the live stream.
Go
Our
for it.
own our own ginger bibliophile has a cookbook,
Oh, that's awesome.
rarely homemade. You may find
Oh,
her
yeah, I
on
remember.
Amazon. Our own Nicole Brona has Obsidian Murders. Hope I said your name right, Nicole. These are my birthday books, by the way. I love cash for my birthday.
That's
I have
awesome.
Talendor's Guest by a Mr. Charles McCarthy, I believe also known as
It's
Bookish
bookish
Chaz.
jazz.
Dragons, dude, I had to buy it. And I have The Keening by Margaret Pinard, who will be joining me at the end of February. So I have more reading besides ACOTAR. There's my ad portion. And the other two books that I got for my birthday, Overshadows, Meeting Place of the Dead, both by Richard Palmisano, paranormal investigator. Woohoo! Lives here in Ontario, 2 hours away from me. And I've had him on my live chat. So I spent my money on authors that I've had the privilege of getting to chat with and meet through BookTube. Okay, we're done the commercial. Hey, Margaret.
Awesome.
I endorse Jenny's opinion. One of these days, Gareth, I'll get one of your books too. I only got so much birthday
Yeah,
money.
that was awkward, wasn't it? That was definitely awkward, right? It's fine. Nobody's buying them. It's fine. You're amongst friends.
Stop.
Nobody's buying them.
You're going to be talking about your own book shortly. You get your own personal advertisement.
If I sell a book, I get so excited. Oh my god, I sold a book! I get an Amazon email going, you've had some money. I go, oh really? And it's £2. Oh, okay, thanks.
Hey, it's more than I got last month, buddy. Quit your whining.
I definitely can't live off it.
Running's hard, climbing's fun. As long as you stretch. How about men? Don't be like
Yeah, absolutely.
gonna be with it. And see, this, Gareth, is why I don't have time for that ACOTAR crap. 700 more
Sometimes
pages.
there may be stretching. The cat's being naughty.
Yes, she is, and she and Jenny were
Be careful what you
naughty
pull.
this afternoon. Where's my popcorn?
What kind of? I pulled a muscle. What kind of muscle?
Get a front row to mischief. Depends on the. Oh no, we're climbing trees again. Plenty of butter for the popcorn. Definitely.
See, that sounds like innuendo. Plenty of butter.
Oh, no doubt. See, here we go. You're part of the gremlin crew too, Mr. Gareth. One upset by trespassing. Always other trees, good climb. This had to be from the ACOTAR. So unchoosy. Eliminates a few countries. Lorax. Actually, the Ogier in Wheel of Time speaks for the trees. People can't visualize. Jenny calling folks bad girls, should not realize, talking to the making. Colleague can't, doesn't have an inner monologue. Oh my goodness. I need to borrow that brain. Mine's going all the time. Make end up staying all night listening to the voices. Don't care. Oh, rest of the series was fab. See, I didn't. And I think I did watch Bookish Chaz's commentary on that. Dark Tower's my fave. Haven't finished. Jeez.
No, that was the second one.
You haven't finished, Jenny. Was traumatized. Yeah, see, Kat's another one like me.
Yeah. Kat said before. I mentioned Kat in the video, actually. I've quickly mentioned the fact that my friend Kat can't deal with dogs being harmed.
Oh, sure. She gets mentioned. Now awkward. We're even. I don't have your book and I didn't get mentioned in the video.
Yeah. If anyone watches a video of mine and I don't mention them, obviously never buy my books. Yeah. That's the way that works.
Well, now I'm going to be shamed into buying a book from Gareth. There goes one of my thrift store hauls because those books are more than the thrift stores. Oh, see, cats. Give me skimming and cheating. People biting, it's okay all day long. So long as the dog's okay. I agree. As long as the dog makes it, it's all good. Some folks made the news, might throw a party. Hey, William.
Hey.
Drop in, car, signal breaks up. Hey, I've seen a lot of these people this afternoon. Miles behind the comments. Yes, we are. See, Gareth, common denominator. It's his fault. I'm usually better. He's not to be trusted in any medium. Miles behind. Elaine's reaction to our tree discussion. Yes.
Yeah, she's skimming through it.
Oh, we beat Dave's record. My goodness. Comments out of context. Hey, we're keeping up so far. I was going to read Salem's. Can't be trusted. Don't think he loves dogs. I don't know, Kat. Gareth, did you know? Explain it.
No, he absolutely loves dogs. It's obvious he loves dogs. Tim Burton loves dogs. And Tim Burton loves dogs. And his second film, Frankenweenie, was about a dog that died.
Oh, no.
In the first scene.
But
it's about a boy who brings him back to life again. That's why it's called Frankenweenie.
There you go. Now that's a comment for your kitty, I believe, 17, right?
Yeah. She's just we've had to get a cat litter tray because she started forgetting that she's supposed to go in the garden to go to the toilet. And she also just randomly starts shouting her head off for no reason.
I remember
twice a day. Have you heard it happen in a video?
I didn't, but you mentioned in the one video, if you said, can you hear her going?
Yeah. So it might happen at some point. But yeah, she's definitely old.
Yeah. Oh, seems to be the only thing he writes well. Everything else is hit or miss. That's got to be King.
How bizarre.
Oh, made a headstone. Aw, that's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I get that.
Yeah. Salem's Lot. Oh, the favorite king. Get why
It's a
you wouldn't
great book.
want it. I
I
read it, but I keep forgetting the
I put
dog
it as
part.
number three. That's my third favorite. I put that as number three when I did a ranking of my favorites.
Yeah. I'm not sure what my fave would be actually. I'd have to go through the different ones I've read again. Cause even oh, what's the one with the political guy and the dog comes up in that one?
Um,
Dead Zone.
Dead Zone.
And he keeps, man, it's like, dude, you said the dog part in the beginning. We get it. The guy's a douche. Stop bringing up the dog scene.
But again, if we keep bringing it up, because Stephen King
I
is upset
know.
by those things. He is upset by things happening to dogs. So he
Well,
believes that
then
you would be.
he should write happy stories. They don't.
Stephen
Oh,
King
see,
should write. There you go. That's the quote from this chat. Stephen King should write happy stories.
and see, I even read Pet Cemetery,
What's
but
his
that
60
didn't
years
hit
of
my
writing that he's been
head that
doing? He
much.
should be writing happy stories. Where's his
He should
cozy
be
king?
Cozy King. They don't stay dead. That's what made me think of Pet Cemetery.
What's the
Kitties, oh,
coziest
have to
king?
die twice. That is mean.
The coziest king is Joyland.
Never read it.
It's really good, but it's not particularly dramatic. But it's really really good. Joyland, but it's set on a amusement park.
Take your word for it. I got too many. I got too many things this year, including the Bible. Not sucker's going to take me 3 years if I read it according to the study plan. It's like, I don't know. Hopefully, we're all still here in 3 years, but we're not talking politics. When the main character is horrible, it just makes me angry, trying to avoid the anger outside the world. Yeah, see, sometimes when you just want to read, and whether it's a happy place, another place, you don't want to overthink it. And I sometimes get stuck with that. Chaz is agreeing. Hope I'm not misnaming you. It's weird how we enjoy some unlikable and rage against others. Yeah, see, and I think for me, sometimes that goes in with the mood reading. I'm a mood reader. So if I'm, yeah, sometimes I can read the books and they won't bother me. But other times it's like, "Ugh, I can't read this right now. It's just irritating me."
Yeah, but also if you go to the opposite of cozy reads, if you think about grim dark, like
Yeah.
Joe Abercrombie, the people love those because there's nobody nice in it. There's no likable characters in it,
Mm,
um, and they like the fact that these are sort of more real people with grey areas of nastiness and all that. So
yeah.
there's a lot to be said for that as well.
Got people saying hi to book and film. Oh, ugly cry. Nice to meet you. I've heard about it and I know a lot of people read it because it was one of the banned books. It wasn't one I got to. Some unlikable if they're supposed to be bad, good, balanced, not too bad. It's not really an opposite to take them out. No idea what you're talking about. And oh, yeah, right, Cat. Chaz is laughing. Good thing I was typing. Don't think I could actually say that with a straight face. No kidding. I agree with Jenny. Your pants is a scorching, Cat. Highly underrated. Oh, Cat. It's not the kind of stream, Cat. Family friendly. We are. Yes, we are. Pretend. Fake it till we make it. Gotta practice. Only I have no idea what these OnlyFans are. Yeah, and Kat, you be careful. I got that email and oh, I was so mad at first because it's like your time's running out and blah blah blah. And I've been hacking your system for months and I'm gonna send this stuff to, send me this much money. And I'm like, clearly you haven't looked at my bank account, you jackass, but whatever. And then he's like, and you've been at these sites and these sites, and I've hacked into your webcam. And I'm like, you're an idiot, because number one, I don't go to those sites ever because I have no reason. Two, you didn't hack my webcam, you jackass, because they're all covered. So all you got pictures of is a piece of paper. Delete. Jerk. Just realized sentence made no sense. Fake all the time. No serious problems in America. Make it. I'll fake it. You aren't meant to admit that. Oops. Thoughts and personal responsibility. Yeah, something that some people definitely don't get. Something grown-ups do sounds awful. Highly overrated. I agree. That's why my my dust bunnies are starting to scare my cats. Stand up and go. Good thing I'm only 3. Sounds terrible. Yes, Chaz is a parent. Not being snarky. See myself out. No, just a kid. Never catch up. Oh, they're going to do to me what they do to you guys. All the movies, haven't seen 4. Yes, I mean, like I say, see, it must have been when I was doing the advertising. Quite the lineup. Only that. Oh, nice. Thanks. So many booktuber books. Sweet. I'm slowly starting. Oh, yay, there's Charles. Yes, Gareth, yours will be on the list.
Whatever.
Look for Rarely Homemade.
Rarely Homemade.
By Catherine Jones.
And I recognize the template on one of my poetry books there's a very similar design.
Is it?
Yes, the one I wrote for my kids.
And she has, you'll love this, Gareth, cookie recipes.
I imagine you probably mean biscuits.
No, they're typed cookies. 31 a month per vendor is glorious. So see, you're not alone, Gareth. Oh, yay. Heard wrong. There we go. See, I have to talk clear. All good. Picking yours up. Love and Ven's reading. 100. Oh my gosh. Jenny. I can't even imagine that many. Didn't start enough chaos. Perfect. Set in the North. There we go. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah, I'm behind on watching videos again, too. You can't open. No intention of finishing. Oh, Margaret. I intend to finish them all. Refuse to surrender. Yeah, because she won't DNF or skim. Gotta finish. Meant for me. Count if that's the process. Counts as finishing. Don't know how people can DNF. Won't allow. See, this is why I spent so many hours of my life watching crap movies, Jenny, because I had to know instead of just hit the click button and go read a book. King only has one way of proving folks suck. Needs a new trick. Cozy with King. Imagine King writing a cozy fantasy.
Yeah.
Writing's not good enough. Go in search of better books. Perhaps why I'm single.
I just thought, just bouncing off that last comment, this might be a cozy king because I'm about to read Eyes of the Dragon next month.
Oh yeah,
he wrote that for his daughter, and it was like it's like a young fantasy thing. So that might be a cozy king. So we'll see.
Have to let me know after you read it, Gareth.
Yeah, it's either that or he wants to traumatize his daughter.
That's what I was thinking, but I was keeping my mouth shut. And Margaret, you need to go meet people to, not be single. They're not in a book, honey. I'm cat curious. 4 lives left. Can't waste them on books I don't enjoy.
Yes, true.
Single's great. No having to share snacks or the bed.
And yeah, you can eat snacks in the bed as well.
Yeah. Life for lives too short. Working on stealing souls. Not many have a soul. You may struggle. True. Running out of freckles to trade.
That's an amazing line. I love that.
Oh, there you go. Ooh. Jenny's got me beat. Thought it was far more than that. So she's got one of your
cool.
books.
You got one. I wonder which one it is. Tell me which one you've got, Jenny.
Gonna catch up with this speed through.
Oh my God.
Spam the chat. Spam the chat. Spam a lot. Chuckles. Spam. Yay. Oh, look at this. Even Charles is getting in on it with them. Join.
Yeah, they did this to me and Dave.
Meet people. Chaos Goblin Horde. Aha. Mwahaha. I caught up. Okay, Gareth, that's your fault because they've never done that to me before. Brownie Oak Gang.
Oh, brilliant. You've got the Brownie Oak Gang. That's probably what I'm most proud of. And I wish people read it. Nice. There's one that people read the least. So,
Oh, is it?
But, yeah, I think it's my biggest achievement as a novel. But it's completely stupid. But
I'm just looking for a pencil, so I'll write it down. That will be my next real book purchase.
Well, I do appreciate it. The only intention is to make you laugh in that book. So it's a light read. But I think it's got a lot going for it. When I reread it, I read parts of it on my channel and I kept laughing while I was reading it. So I think it's a good read. I'm very proud of it.
There you go. And I love fun read books. Ooh.
And I love the characters. I really love the characters that are in it. I enjoy. I need to write the sequel because I've got the plot in my head. I know the plot. I've written out the plot, and I've bought the cover as well. So I've paid money for a cover that's awesome, and I need to write it. I just need to find the time to read the first book again, so I can make some notes on what I'm going to use for the next book, and then write the damn thing. But I would enjoy writing it because I really enjoyed writing that one because it's really I think it's very funny. It's bad to say that sort of stuff about your own stuff, but I do think
Hey, you deserve to give yourself a pat on the back. And I love funny. And that reminds me, and this came up in one of your other streams a few weeks ago. I was mentioning James Finn Garner.
Yeah.
And Politically Correct. This one's holiday stories. He's also got Once Upon a Time. And they're from 1995. And they're a twist on all. Oh, yeah. Because I was talking about A Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah.
And then here, Ebenezer owns a coffee company. And it's all up to date and twisted. And the ghosts are not like Dickens. I put up a video on it and I did the reading of it, but they are flippin' hilarious. And they're just teeny weeny. And well, this is how serious my husband and I are. For, I think it was our 6th or 7th anniversary, he bought me the first 2 books of this series as our anniversary presents. You don't do the fancy romantic on the beach thing stuff. It's like, no, buy me a funny book, man.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah, so I have that down. That will be my next. Where'd I just they're jumping ahead with the comments again. Look at these guys. Dang, do better next time. Yeah, good luck. That was fun. Chaos really is, isn't it? Hey, Shape, how are you?
Oh, hello.
listening while working. The Shape is a debunker. I've been watching him for
Oh,
years.
okay, cool.
So,
I'll look into the channel.
yeah, he does a really good job. And I've learned, not that I know how to do it, but I've learned a lot in terms of editing and things, because what
Oh,
he
okay.
does is reacts to the clips and shows how they manipulate audio and different things to make it look paranormal. And
Right,
he has this awesome sarcastic sense of humor, as do I. So I adore him. I've been watching
that's
him for a
awesome.
couple of years because
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
started, before I discovered BookTube about a year or so ago, I was mainly following paranormal and debunking channels. And The Shape is one of the few I've stuck with, and I've left about 20 or 30 others because I got too many BookTube channels to follow now. Had to make some choices. World always needs more laughs. I agree, especially now. I was crying with laughter. Did you think, oh, three men in a boat?
Ah, I bought that because I feel like I need to read it, and I haven't read it yet, so I have no idea. Because I did say that I don't know if I'm going to find it funny, but yeah, I don't know yet. Uh, it will all be, to be honest, it will be about how it's written more than what is funny. It'll be how it's
Mm,
written because um, uh, Alex Unabridged, you know Alex Unabridged. He's a really cool booktuber. Definitely check him out. But he recently reviewed a book that is one of the worst books I've read for a long time. And I was watching him thinking, oh, I wonder what he's going to think of this, whether he's going to like it.
yeah,
And he DNF'd it. He didn't like it, and he didn't like it for the reasons that I thought it was terrible, and it was how it was
right.
written, and it was supposed to be a comedy, and it's a very acclaimed author. But the thing was, the way she wrote the jokes, the way she wrote
Yeah.
the comedic element, it was so convoluted, it was so wordy that the
Uh,
timing was lost. And it was like she'd spend 3 lines writing something that if she'd written it in 9 words, it'd have been a hell of a lot funnier, you know.
uh,
So for I'm kind of expecting Three Men in a Boat to be a bit wordy as well, but I don't know. I have no idea, but only because of um, maybe it's reputation or something. I don't know, but hopefully I'll love it. So maybe I'll try. Maybe I can try and squeeze it in. It's not very long. Maybe I'll try and squeeze it in this month, and I can actually
mm.
answer Margaret properly.
Laughing since are climbing up. You and your ants, cat. Everyone's saying hi, hi, hi. It's nice. I love when people are welcoming in the chats. Oh,
Yes, it
there you
is.
go. Gareth
Yes, it
is,
is.
yep.
Yeah, it's been like so. It's not very realistic, as in it's science fiction, and they're all the band are all from different planets, and they're all like bizarre people. Like the singers, like got 3 wolf heads for heads. That's why he can sing 3-part harmony by himself.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. So they're not very real in that sense, but they are real in the sense that the guitarist Lazy Riff absolutely takes the piss out of all the guitarists I know. That literally you'll be chatting away in a rehearsal for ages, and then the guitarist is going to go, "Sorry, what's happening? What are we doing?" Because he was on his own planet. And the booking agents and promoters that are in it, one of them wants to take over the world.
Pinky in the brain.
Yeah, yeah. And it's modeled on one particular music promoter as well that I know. That I wouldn't be surprised if he
Awesome.
wanted to take over the world. So there's kind of references to things and a lot of the experiences I've had as a musician is kind of parodied in the book.
Oh,
So like
neat.
sound checks and releasing an album and all that sort of stuff but it's just in a silly way. They go on an ice planet and the equipment freezes up, things like that. you know
Oh, cool.
yeah.
I will
um
have to make sure that well, I've got it on my list. So started wooing the witch queen. I think that's pretty funny. Okay, I don't
uh,
know what that means. HR's.
That's probably an event, isn't it?
Perhaps.
Don't know.
I'll have to try and oh, great. Spam too. They're going to start again. Beach that's attempted offing. Constant saying hi to the little rebel rousers. How many channels are we following? Not sure. Glad we made the cut.
That's so good that you got all those to show on screen. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Haven't counted. Animals comedy, about 80. There we go. Only 80. Stop listing how many in the side. Yeah, I agree. They did stop. There was a time where they showed you how many channels you're following. I counted mine the other day, and I try and keep mine under 100. And partly, yeah, partly because there's only so many hours in the day, and two, and it was after I'd watched one of Jack's videos, Spreadbook Joy, and I'd been thinking about it as well. Even before I made I don't know if you saw my thanking my 150 unsubs, because it's going to take me forever to get to 500. So I'm like, I've been losing subs, and Jenny, bless her heart, unsubbed to get me to the 150 so I could make the video. And she subbed again. She's like viewer and supporter extraordinaire.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I lost loads of subs today. I put up that political video and I've lost loads.
Serious?
Yeah. And I knew it would happen, but it's a shame because obviously you do want subs, but
it is,
it's just one of those things.
But you want subs who are there for you and open-minded. But the reason I try and keep it,
but you also don't want to speak in a vacuum either.
Well, true, but you're still well over 1,000, so you've got return viewers and such.
Yeah.
But no, the reason I try and keep it to 100 is what I realized, and it was also based on what Jack said and from what little bits I pay attention to in the analytics, because I just did a video on that too with returning viewers and hours and stuff, is if people are subscribed, but and I found this out with some of the other channels too. If people are subscribed but not watching, and if you have too many of those kinds of people, then that's telling YouTube people aren't interacting with your content. So you're actually hurting that content creator because YouTube isn't putting their videos out because their returning viewers and interaction is lower.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean like don't sub or that, because there's a number of channels I have. But now what I found I have to do is go back and reset my notification bell, because some of the channels I haven't gotten to, because again, there's only so many hours, and I try and follow as many people as I can. But because some I haven't followed consistently, they changed the bell to personalized instead of all. And I didn't think much of it through December because I figured people are busy. Some people take December off. And now I'm like frickin' weeks behind because they were still putting up videos, but I wasn't getting notifications because YouTube changed it to personalized. So there's just so many. So that's why I try and keep it to who I can realistically follow on a consistent basis. And that's a hard choice because there's so many great content creators out there. But I figure if I just sub, but I never go back, then I'm not really helping them.
Well, my attitude to subbing is there's no way I could see all the people that I subscribe to, because it is like probably something like 800 or something. It's a crazy amount. But again, like you just sort of intimated, I sub because I watch it. I think that's a good channel. I'll subscribe because that's what they want me to do. They want me to
Yeah, yeah.
subscribe. And if I can't watch the videos, then I can at least have them on my radar and try to watch them if they come up. And if they do, if I am subscribed to them, they will come up on my subscriptions page. So sometimes I'll
Yep.
click on subscriptions, see what my subscribed people have posted. So I can
Yep.
do that, so it kind of filters through. But yeah, I feel like if I haven't subbed and I don't watch them, that's a lot worse than not subbing. That's a lot worse than subbing but not watching. So
Mm.
so yeah, I just subscribe if I feel like I like the channel. I just treat it simple as that.
Yep.
You know.
And I mean, everyone has to do what's right for them and what makes sense. And I mean, YouTube analytics are a nightmare to try and figure out. And I
Yeah,
try
yeah,
not to get caught up in it. Like I was telling Kat earlier today when we were in the other chat, I actually, in the last few days, I've lost 4 subs. But when I looked at the rest of my analytics, I have over 160 returning viewers, and 85% of my watch hours are my subscribers.
yeah. That's really good.
So those numbers rock if you can
Yeah,
trust the numbers.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I've still lost 4. Like I haven't even broken 400 subs yet. But the folks that I have, it's an awesome little community. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you
That's it.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
and I have
Absolutely. That's
people to
that's
chat
right.
with and connect. So to me, that's, I mean, if I were ever monetized, that'd be awesome, but I'm not holding my breath. There's so
Yeah,
many
yeah,
other payoffs, right?
yeah, yeah. No, you're right, and you can tell if they know you as well. Like I always like it if the comment says Gareth, because I don't say my name very often in my videos. So
Yeah, yeah,
if you know my channel well, you know who I am. And if so you can tell sometimes if people are just nipping in and they don't really watch your channel as well from that point of view.
yeah. Well, it was
Sometimes.
funny because I can't remember if it was on the unsub or one of the other videos recently, and someone commented, and they're like, I've been here for a few months, but I just realized I've never left a comment. And I'm like, woohoo! Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah,
I checked out their channel, and in that case, I subbed because there's a lot of content I'd be interested in watching. And that's why I say it's hard because I'd like to sub, but the other thing to more, but I also find YouTube unsubs you.
oh
I
really?
watch it, yeah.
If
And
you
see,
don't.
I noticed because I have so few channels. I mean, 100's still a crazy amount. But I've noticed because, like you, sometimes I go down to see, oh, who am I sub to? Because I haven't been here lately. Do they have new and their
Yeah,
channel's gone.
right.
So you and Margaret could be sub to 900 or more, but they just got rid of some of the people they
Yeah,
sub
yeah, yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's interesting, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
but I don't rely on, well, I don't 100% trust the stats, and not because I have issues. I have issues, but that's not why I distrust them. I put in my analytics video, and it was just basics. A few of us were talking, and so I did a little PowerPoint in that. But on my stats, and it cracked me up. So I showed where you get the returning viewers and how you figure out how many unsubs for the history of your channel. And then I showed, because they have that breakdown of your viewers, how many are male, female, and I think they have
Right.
it there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And for 28 days, it said on my channel 100% female.
Oh
Now, I'm not
really?
sure what Ven and all the others who have come by my channel
So
thought,
yes, a whole
but
month.
I'm pretty sure they were male.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. That's clearly not
And
accurate.
so that's why I said, don't put a lot of stock in the numbers. I mean, it calculates the best it can for the, I don't know, millions of channels that they have and everything, but still, it's not the be all end all. I
Yeah.
mean, I know it can be, I mean, I know when I early on sent an email to you and Jack and a few of the others, and said that can be soul crushing because at that point I was already over 2 years and still just tippy-toeing, but yeah, I can't lie. Tippy-toeing's good when I see some of the shit other people put up with and they're bigger, right? I'm like, nah, I'm good in my little cyber hidey hole. It's safe here. I get nice people.
No, but I do remember we had a bit of an email exchange about it, like, I don't know, it was about a year ago. And I remember, like really like relating to what you were saying, and I sort of said what I could, but ultimately
Yeah.
there's only so much you can do. It's kind of luck and all sorts of things, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
good that you're really enjoying it now, and you feel like you're getting something out of it. It's brilliant.
Well, I appreciate it. And I mean, it's thanks to supportive booktubers like you and the others that I've met. And, that whole spiral of you meet one person and then you meet two more and you go to this chats and live streams. The reading sprints are awesome. And it's funny. At first I wasn't sure about reading sprints. Then I started going to cats on Friday night. And so that was nice. Gives me something to do on a Friday night, and we have our chit chats and little gremlins. Then I met Ven. Ven's in Manchester. He does sprints through the afternoon. So sometimes when he's not working and has a sprint, I can hop into them. We had a lovely birthday party on, it actually fell on my birthday this year. It was January the 9th. So we did a birthday party with cake and 3 Capricorns, me and 2 others. So, there's so
Yeah,
many
awesome.
awesome spin-offs
Hmm.
that have happened. So yeah, thanks for your encouragement and you know,
Well, absolutely. No,
stuck with
yeah.
it. And then it's nice watching everybody kind of growing. Like we're not, well, I think out of all of us here, the Shape is probably the biggest. He's close to 30,000. Which,
Nice.
by the way, Shape, if you're listening, I know and he's a fan of Friday the 13th. And I saw him on a live stream where he said if he gets to 50,000 subs, he's going to take the mask off because he's got the
Oh, wow.
Jason. So we got to get him 20,000 more subs. And
That's
Shape, you
awesome.
got to also let me know when you're going to come on for a live. So Kat's saying half of them, strictly shorts, around 1,000. That's got to be books, some fun sized climbing's required. Her and her trees and climbing. Dangerous, Gareth. Don't ever think I've ever done that with personalities. It just grazes.
Yeah, it is dangerous.
Oh, here we go. Hardest reading challenge you'll ever do.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw the video that Margaret did about. I think I was because obviously all her videos are live streams, and I was commenting as she was doing it. And yeah, it's a very interesting reading challenge.
No
Uh,
doubt.
it's a
Wow.
challenge. Yeah,
Sub to a dangerous amount.
dangerous amount.
Ooh, 346. Well, to be fair, Jenny, you've got 4,000 books. I mean, you gotta you
Yeah.
gotta draw the line somewhere. Someone's got you beat for list size. Putting so many off the cuffs lately, Gareth. Been noticing.
Yeah.
You've been ratioed. Don't do notifications for anyone, just for specific that I want to join. Aw, thank you. Don't know why. Check notifications, skim my feed. Ones look interesting, can fit in. Yeah, can't watch. And yeah, I felt
No,
so bad. There's Elsna.
but then don't feel bad about that. Do you know what I mean? You like you just said, there's not enough time in a day, and if they're on your radar because you
Yeah,
subbed, that's cool. And if they're not on your radar, but in your head, you can look now and again. That's also cool. It's just one of those things. There's all out there for us to find if we want to look for it.
yeah. And I mean, I think that's it too. And I felt bad. There was another small booktuber that I've connected with, and she was totally stressing out because she had a whole bunch of videos in her watch later list, and there was just no earthly way to get there. And we're all like, and she had shared in a post, and we're like, don't stress.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be fun. And I even said to her, like, if you don't watch mine, it's no big deal. Like, I go by, you watch what you need to watch. I
Yeah.
believe books come to you when they're gonna, be of most benefit. Videos, you're gonna watch what you need to watch when you want to. Like, do not stress yourself out. It's supposed to be fun.
Well,
And
this week, I think it was this week, at the end of last week, Troy Traddock put up a video saying he's going to leave BookTube, and it's such a shame. And I
aw,
know he used to stress about the videos he was putting out and stuff, but I think it might be that he just didn't get that kind of community around him and that kind of thing. He's a brilliant
oh,
booktuber and a really intelligent man. He's a good writer, and it's a shame, but obviously he needs to do what's best for him.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it does help if you feel like you've got people around you watching with you and commenting and
yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So it does help. But yeah, I mean, people do sometimes give up because they just aren't feeling it. You know.
Well, I think yeah, and there's only so many hours. So many are working and have family, and they're trying to juggle
Yeah,
all of that, and big life things going on. I mean, for me, it's not that I wouldn't like to be working. It's just there's physical stuff and all of that. So I'm home. So for me, this is what keeps me going and in communication with people, right? And
yeah, yeah,
hubby's home in the evening, and that's okay. But through the day, there's something I need to do. And yeah, I knocked off over 200 some odd books in the last couple years because, well, my cats don't talk, they cuddle, so I can read. But you got to get back to talking to people and stuff. And so I went from busy days at school to not so much and other life events. But yeah, for
Mm.
other people trying to, and it can be soul crushing, like, especially if you've put, your heart and soul into a video and you're so proud of it and it's an important message and you put it up and it goes,
Yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
right, I
typically
just spent
the ones you
hours.
put, yeah, the ones you put the most work on get the lowest views. You know,
Yeah,
and it is frustrating, definitely. And you look at up. I took I made a decision this week to take off the Doctor Who videos. So I've kept one, maybe two on there, but I had about 7 on there. And I thought I'm just going to worry about carrying on with the series. I'm just taking them off because nobody was watching them, and it doesn't matter.
oh,
And yeah, it's. I just thought I'm going to carry on doing them, and it'll be something I need to schedule in to find time to do. Takes a while to edit it, blah blah blah. I thought actually no, I'm just not going to bother. So again, it's kind of like you will respond to what you think is what people want to watch.
yeah,
The 100, it's like the 100 album challenge, the one I do in shorts. I
yeah.
filmed all 100 of them in the space of about 3 weeks, and I'm really
Holy
glad I
crap.
did. Yeah, yeah, but I'm so glad I did because nobody watches them, so I would have stopped the challenge by now. Do you know what I mean? I've got some that have
Oh,
got 7 views or 12 views and that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like if I hadn't have pre-filmed them, I would have just
yeah.
stopped the challenge. I would have thought I'm not going to do it anymore and just got rid of it. So it's quite nice that some do get watched and some don't, or most of them don't, but some of them do, and it's just there. And if people watch them, they watch them.
Well, see, and
So
that's the other, you don't know when the numbers are gonna go up
yeah,
and
yeah,
old content that people watch. I
yeah.
find it hilarious that my thank you to the 100 subs ages ago when that happened got less views than my thank you to the 150 unsubs. Was it the unsub word that caught people and they're going, she's being a smartass. I got to see what she's talking about.
Yeah, probably.
Meanwhile, the
Yeah.
plain thank you was like, yeah, everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not watching another thank you video. It's like, and you don't know because even when I look at some of the stuff, some of my cat videos do well, some of the nature and some of the books, I'm like, so I keep doing all three because people watch all of them. It's like, hey, if two people watch, it's good. Then, it was worth making it, I figure. If I was monetized, it'd be like, what? I'm not getting money off this. But you can make now, yes, you can make numbers tell any story you want. Try something content wise if it's resonating, and if not, yeah. And that's the thing too, because even analytics aren't going to 100% tell you. What about
Yeah.
Jared?
Joe calls me Gareth. Joe and Book Buds, he calls me Gareth all the time.
Aw. I thought we changed his name. Never explained what that is. Google. Jareth gonna start a GIF. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
Jim Henson.
Well, everyone loves David Bowie.
Oh, Bowie's amazing. See, I was so prepared today, Gareth.
I don't think I'd wear those trousers. Certainly not at work.
See, now I have never heard you talk about this person. The complete far side.
That means you haven't seen my cartoonist videos.
I have not.
So I've talked about Gary Larson in my top 10 cartoonist video, which is one of the first videos I put up. So it's about 4 years ago now.
Oh, well, no wonder I didn't see it yet.
It's an awesome video. So I talk about Gary Larson in that one, and then I did a book library tour thing as well. And when I go through my cartoonist shelves, I talk about Gary Larson then as well. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Gary Larson. I think he's awesome.
Love him. We've got his 3-book series because I mean they're short and sweet, right? There's a picture, but it's just
and it can make you laugh out loud, can it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we started following him in the newspaper, and then we got the 3-volume collection. I need to get through that because he's awesome. And Henson, I love too. I remember watching the Muppets, and
I've got a Farscape T-shirt on at the minute.
I almost brought up my Farscape video because we have the series and the movies. Loved Farscape.
That's my favorite program. It's my favorite program, all-time favorite.
It's awesome. I love the characters. And then 2 of them went on to Stargate. Claudia Black, I've seen in other things, and the one who played
Ben Browder.
Yes. So yeah, it was a great series. It was different. Couldn't quite wrap my head around a living ship, but it was good. I enjoyed it for sure. And you're right. In that last episode, I'm like, how could you kill him? We're not going to do any spoilers.
You just almost spoiled it then.
I almost did.
Yeah. No, but I was so upset. I was going, no, you can't. But obviously, it works. You know, right. There's a reason why it's there. But no, I can't tell you how much I love that character. So it was gutting.
There were a lot. Yeah, there were a lot of good ones there for sure. YouTube having fun misgendering folks. Crystal ball magic.
Yeah.
Ask Ben if he knows YouTube. He was a chick. Playing Fourth Wing. That's it. Can't be. Such little mischief makers. Fantasy chick flick. 30K. Yep. But he's a debunker, hun. There's a lot on the paranormal. Dragons and murder. Katja shared her watch later numbers. Over 2,000.
Wow.
And see, but you'd be adding to it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be so overwhelmed.
Just that's like planning for your retirement, isn't it?
There's that. Now, see, what I've been starting to do is put watch later, because typically I only watch YouTube in the evening. Like, I don't typically watch the videos during the day. I'm either reading or, sometimes adulting, or outside, especially spring and summer. I do a lot of yard work, so I'm outdoors quite a bit. But I found the last few weeks, as I've been hitting watch later, has actually worked better, because then I'm not missing as many, because as soon as I see them, if I hit watch later, like if I'm uploading a video while I'm waiting for it to process, I'm over on another page and then put them into watch later. And then it's like, okay, so as long as I don't get up to 2,000, it should work.
Yeah.
Except, she hates Lemon. I've never read them, so I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I totally get it. It's a lot easier for men to read Lemon.
Yeah, I haven't.
It's not very progressive.
2,600 tend to get through a lot if I'm not in the mood to read. Yeah, well, Jenny, you do everything 2.5, so we all sound like chipmunks. Definitely why I keep going. Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
Same
absolutely.
with Jazz. Can read. Yes, I can read with pets, cat. You've seen my cats. They don't, they're not dogs and slop in my books and stuff. Good company. Toss the lives in your wheel, though. Ah, puppy.
That's
Is
Ralph.
that Ralphie?
That's Ralph, yeah.
Hello, Ralph.
You all right?
Oh, so handsome.
He was sitting next to me for the whole thing, but I thought I'd bring him up on screen. And his brother's over there.
Chico.
Yeah, Chico's over there. But this is Ralph. Do you want to sit down again?
Yeah, Dad. It's comfy on my pillow. Usually I watch even at work, but just not comment as much. And yeah, I know there's one person, actually there might be a couple. Some listen to me on their drive to and from work because they've got like about an hour drive. So they listen to my videos, and others listen to me at work. I'm like, I've become the radio of the 21st
Yeah.
century.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm
you're their
thinking,
company.
yeah, and I'm thinking, oh, I can't even listen to my videos. How do they do it all day? It's my own voice, right? Are you gonna
Yeah.
say night night?
Oh, that's the thing about when you're editing the video, you're double
Oh,
checking. You got to
are you
get
gonna
fed up
show
with your
your
own voice.
face?
Hello.
Look,
Hi.
Gareth, you have a dog. I have a human.
Wow. Yeah, and ironically, Elaine probably cares more about my dog than cares about you.
Okay, we're saying night night.
Nice to meet you, mate.
Love you, night.
Good to meet you.
Oh, saucy.
That's right. See, I held up the book. This ain't Fourth Wing, dude. We ain't like doing the whole. Besides, he knows I love my kitties. I don't actually. Oh, we do have. I just noticed. Now, can we see her? Yep.
Yeah, there she is.
My fat cat, Xena. She's 16.
Oh, wow. So she's,
She's the
similar
only
age
one
to mine.
without street creds. She was born in our basement.
Oh, okay. So
Because
she stays in?
Yeah, our kids are all indoors. They don't go out. Panther, my black boy, was part of the feral colony. He and his brother Shadow came in when they were 4 months old. We had to say goodbye to Shadow. It'll be 4 years ago next month. Suddenly, feline leukemia became active in him, which was insane because they weren't outside anymore. But Panther's okay. They were born in our backyard. Xena and her sister Ghost were born in our basement. We'd taken in her mom Cedric. Did I say she was 16? So would have been 17 years ago because some dirtbag dumped off their mom. And she'd been around for a while and then was following me doing yard work, then came in. And we had Morgan at that time. So we had upstairs, Morgan lived upstairs. We found out Cedric was expecting. Cedric had the basement. Morgan had upstairs. Cedric had the kittens in the basement. We found homes for 3 and ended up keeping Xena and Ghost. Ghost, we always knew was staying because she was the little runt. And we couldn't find a home for Xena. So she stayed. Best choice we ever made because the kittens played. And then Xena and Morgan could bond, even though Morgan was a few years older. And Cedric and Ghost passed in 2020. They'd both had cancer, sadly. So we still have Xena. And then Tiki just adopted us. It'll be 2 years this coming June. And she's the only one that didn't come out of our backyard, basically. The universe finally said, no, go find one of your own. So for a while, we had a house of 6 and all of them from the backyard. Well, Ghost and Xena born here, but still, their mom came from the backyard. So, yeah,
Nice.
we have lots of kitties. And we used to have dogs, but they've sadly both passed too. The universe sends us kids who need much attention and care, but that hasn't sent us the frickin' lottery. Sends us the kids without the money, but they're worth every second and time that we've had with them. So, yeah. So, yes, we already read about Ginny and the Chipmunk views. Short views, no sense. JB's creep. Oh, 1,000. Last couple of pups didn't even hit double digits. Yeah, it's so hit and miss. And it doesn't matter what time of day or any I found anyhow. It just
Yeah.
who knows? Hour-long lectures, mark to watch, listen to go, nah. Yeah, but see, there you go. You've given him a test run to see.
Trying to learn about socialism, but it's dull. Well, socialism isn't dull. It might be the people telling you about it.
Aw, bye, Chaz.
Bye, Chaz.
Glad you popped in. Not sure how, see? Not sure how long ago, but yep, we're behind.
Yeah.
Welcome to the chaos. Have a great night. Oh, thank you. Yes, my herbology Hogwarts shirt. And Kat has the exact same one. My first live, January 2, we were the herbology twins. We both wore our shirts. Yes, Farscape was very good.
Oh, I am thinking about doing some live streams about Farscape. So doing like rewatching it and doing like, I don't know, 3 episodes at a time. And like so just to kind of rave about it regularly on the channel because I love it so much. So what's Farscape? It's a science fiction show with lots of Jim Henson's creatures in it.
Yeah, Jenny's got part.
Oh, spoilers! There's an episode called They Got a Secret, and in that episode is when they reveal the reason why Dargo was on the run and why he was in the prison ship. And it also reveals something about Zan, the blue character, that is part of her past, and it reveals that the ship is pregnant. So
well, there
good.
You go.
So good. Just thinking about it makes me smile.
Yeah, it's great. And the character that I loved, but I think partly she left because of health, was the character in Blue.
Yeah, Zan. Yeah. She didn't.
Yeah.
She couldn't stand the makeup. It was reacting. Yeah. She was reacting to the makeup. So yeah, that was a shame because she was a really unusual character, very spiritual and very calm kind of presentation, and very different to the. And another spoiler, but you find out later on that character is a plant as well.
Yeah, and I love that. It was, and I mean, I know it freaks people out, but I do think plants are sentient. And I don't know if it's because I watched Avatar or whatever, because I'm not vegan. I will never be vegan because, you need some protein and stuff and health. But to me, eating meat is no different than eating a plant. They're both sentient. And if you give gratitude and you're thankful, and excuse me, you're mindful of, where you get things as much as you possibly can. But see, I also grew up on a farm, so I know not everybody's douchey about animals, and to them, it's like an Avatar. It's a sacred thing. You have to eat to survive, but you do it with honor and gratitude. And thank you for giving your life for mine to continue. So plant animal to me is the same, right? That's my little thing.
That's cool. Love it.
She's either calling hubby Ralph or Fur Babe. Oh no, you're Ralph.
Yeah, my Ralph.
Hubby was after Ralph. Fur baby. We're all such animal lovers. With the living ship. Now that I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes, there is. I can't remember what it was, but it was really funny because I was watching a review, but they were going, "Oh, it's so cool! They got this idea of a living ship," and I go, "Farscape did that. Farscape did that."
Exactly.
There's many
Yeah.
things that Farscape did that, like one of the things that happens in Farscape, and it's not really it is a spoiler, but it's fine. You'll forget. But halfway through season 3, the main character dies, and that was such a shock. And they duplicated him before that. So,
Mm.
but they played with the fact that there was 2 versions of the main character for a while, which was fantastic, because the other characters had to deal with the fact there was 2 of them. And then when one of them died, they had to mourn the main character dying without losing the character. It was so clever and it's so brilliant.
Yeah. Is that a Farscape?
Yeah, yeah. There's a really creepy, uncomfortable episode called Eat Me. That's just amazing, but it's a really weird atmosphere for the whole thing. And there's
Now
this
I gotta
guy that,
watch Farscape again.
yeah, and he keeps duplicating people, and they manage to solve the problem of what he's doing, and he's got all these weird kind of zombie like things on this ship he's on, and they're trying to deal with this guy and these creatures that he's been creating, and while they're trying to deal with him, he duplicates most of the crew. So it's all a bit mad, and
Mm.
as Farscape often is.
Yeah.
But by the end of the episode, they managed to deal with it all, except the main character is still duplicated. So there's 2 of him on the ship, and the episode ends with him doing rock paper scissors with himself. It's brilliant. And like every rock paper scissors is exactly the same. They keep
I'm gonna
doing
have to go
paper,
back and
paper.
watch that now. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Excuse me. Now there's another show. Oh, did Buffy.
Oh, yeah, Rob. No, you're right.
Nathan Fillion.
Robin Hobb's book. So that was probably before Farscape. Yeah, I think
Oh,
Robin Hobb's got written a book with a sentient ship in it.
never read him. I think Kat's read some
Yes,
Robin.
it's a
Robin
her,
Hood.
her. Yeah, yeah, it's a female Robin. Yeah, it's not a guy. Yeah, yeah, Robin Hobb.
Yeah.
We're going to read Robin Hobb. We're going to group read her Assassin's Apprentice in February. Me, Dave, and Joe.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Have to fake like I'm doing something when I watch work turn on because I can't hear. It makes it hard to comment. Hi, Bob. Yeah, they met him last time I did my stream upstairs.
That's cool. I love it when that happens.
Yeah, he just quick pops in. He's like, "No, I'm not going to be in videos. I have some of the cutest pictures of him with the cats." And I'm like, oh, I can't use them. Blur out his face or something. One's human, one's doggy. He's real, which is what Jenny said last time. I think they thought I was lying about being married. It's like, you never see the guy. Keep it PG. Xena, yeah, she often takes over my chair, and this has been the running joke because I had a video of them with my new chair. It was a couple years ago, but no sooner was it out of the box, I sat in it, got a picture. Xena had her turn. Then Panther was glaring at her, so Panther had his turn. I'm like, not my chair. I just got my brand new chair after they found it with 4 weeks of it sitting not an hour and a half from my house in the warehouse because our posties were on strike. But this chair is mine because it's on wheels and it's bigger. And they're like, no, we don't want to sit in that, Mom. You can have your own chair. So now they have their other chairs that were supposed to be mine, and I have my comfy one.
Oh,
No
Ralph has got
speaker.
obsessed with this settee since, I don't know, for the last couple of years. He just like if I leave where I'm sitting now,
Yeah.
and he's on the floor, he'll be like, oh, just get on the settee, and I'll be like, no, I only left to get something or to make a cup of tea. I still need to sit here, and I'll put him back down again, and he'll be waiting. As soon as I just get up, settee, go, what? I'm on the settee.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
Our kids
But,
do that too. It's like, seriously, I barely
I mean,
stood
he's
up.
next to me all pretty much all night because I usually this is going to be a very long conversation, so I'll just quickly just say that on the evenings, my wife is normally in our bedroom and I'm down here.
Yeah.
And I normally share the time with Ralph. Chico is always in his bed, so they kind of live. They live separately, really. But
Yeah.
normally he's always next to me. Yeah,
Aw.
yeah,
That's sweet. And see, it's nice routine. She's been born
yeah.
in our sheet of street cred.
Open plan.
Don't know, JB's useless at mousing. Pandora would have bringing bits. It's older when I brought him inside. No, it's cat specific trait, just teasing. Gave you building your own mouse. Hoping, oh, rats are gone. Looking up,
So when
oh,
you get an issue like that, it's so hard to. I mean, we've got a mouse problem at the moment. We've got traps everywhere, and
oh no.
yeah. But this house it was built in the 1890s, so there's
Mm.
there's going to be holes in it, and it's just one of those things. And Rosie, our cat, is crap at catching mice. She is crap. It happens sometimes, but look, and she goes on about it. She tells us like, "Look what I've done." It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
well, whatever.
exactly.
You could have got the last 4 that I've seen in the last couple of weeks as well, but you didn't, did
Oh
you?
goodness. I'm surprised with our cold weather we don't have them.
Yeah.
Some of those Haymarket lectures. Pandora, name from Anne Rice, tiny,
Nice.
extremely dangerous. Jim Henson's from When Is This?
So this was
Early
it was
2000s.
early 2000s it came out, or was it yeah, early
I
2000s,
think so.
2001, 2003. So yeah. She's just, I'm literally just
Yep,
quoting Jenny.
Jenny's got
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
which I think that is.
So it was well after Jim Henson died. It was Brian Henson, his son, was the one that started it. He was the one that
Ah,
kicked it off, and
there we go.
he had the idea. And they'd never done an adult science fiction show before,
Yeah,
and
and
it's
it
very,
was great. I wish it had gone on longer, but I'm glad they did at least have the movies to wrap it up and give it some closure because
yeah.
I hate when they just end it.
But in
They,
some ways, it's better because they knew they had those 4 hours to end the story. They
yeah,
brought all those different characters back, didn't they? And there was like tons and tons of characters even from the first season. They were
yeah,
like, oh my God, they put that one in it. And it's just really well written because it all made sense why they were in
yeah.
it. But they all went back and thought, oh, let's bring these ones back. Let's bring these ones back. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Cool.
was great to, get that whole conclusion part. This
Yeah.
cat saying with plants, Venus flytraps, definitely sentient to be laying traps for insects. Yeah, like that's not just a hey, I think I'll have some
Yeah.
stuff
That's a good
and
point.
catch me a fly. Never farm, turning them into pet. Cat, you want to pet everything, including tigers and wolves. It's not safe, honey. Not even the skunks and raccoons in my yard. You don't pet things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, 1990. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was
Well, no,
his
he's
son,
got
Margaret?
his fam. Yeah. I mean, his family have kept it going, haven't they? No, it's Australian. So Jim Henson and the Jim Henson Company are
Jenny's
obviously.
on it.
Oh, yeah, Jenny's
But
on
you were
it.
gonna say Jim Henson?
Well, Jim Henson and obviously his family are American, and the Jim Henson Studios here in LA. I stood outside it. And I wanted to go in, and I chatted to the
Oh,
woman. I was
wow.
it was an incredible thing. But anyway, um, they did was it 2 years ago? I think it was just before COVID. They did so it would have been 4 years ago or something. They did 20-year celebration of Farscape. So
Oh,
it shows you how old
yeah.
it was in Jim Henson Studios, and it was like open to the public, which it never is normally.
Yeah.
And all the Farscape people came back to celebrate it. And I don't know, I probably would have resigned as a teacher just to go there if I'd have known in advance. Uh, but yeah, I didn't know until literally like 2 weeks or something before it had happened.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's Australian actors, an Australian company that worked with the Jim Henson Company, and Brian Henson, his son, was the one mainly in charge. But Lisa Henson, his eldest daughter, was the one in charge of the recent Dark Crystal reboot
Ah,
on Netflix, which is brilliant. So you know they've kept what Jim did alive, and they've you know
yeah.
they've done loads. You know, they've done loads since. I mean, Brian Henson was responsible for the Muppet Christmas Carol, which is you
Mm,
know a lot of people's favorite Muppet thing. So that was after Jim died. That was the first thing they did after Jim died.
wow. Now, why
Yeah.
would they have done it in Australia? Do you know?
Um,
Excuse me.
I think it just happened that the person that the writers that he worked with, um, they were Australian, and it was an Australian company that wanted to do it. It was kind of like that, and it's a very expensive show, and I
Mm,
think it was just one of those things that you know this TV company. I think it was the TV company that made Neighbours. I think I can't remember, but anyway, they they were up for chucking the money at them, and it feels very Australian. I mean,
mm.
there's a character to Australian dramas, and there's a sense of humor, and there's a bit of a, I don't know, it's almost like a beach bum kind of attitude to the kind of frivolousness of Farscape.
Yeah.
It's such a uh, it's such an odd tone. There's no show like it. You
No,
know,
there isn't.
there's nothing like it.
Need to finish Far Seer.
Yeah,
That one I don't know.
that might be the Robin Hood one with the living ship in it.
Okay. Who thinks I should get a mini sofa or doll bed for my cat? Absolutely. My kids have an ortho bed. They've got beds, their own little cat beds. But of course, they also sleep on our bed, the couches. I just might. Hey, if you've seen any of my cat videos, Margaret, our kids have a camper in the middle of our living room. Now, it's supposed to be a sunshade for a dog. It's a big cushion, excuse me, and it literally goes over half the pillow. It's got, it sits up, and it's supposed to be outside for your dog so they can sit out of the sun. But I happened to go shopping with my husband when we were getting cat food. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And he goes, I'm so glad you think so. I've been looking for weeks so I can buy it. So now Panther goes camping regularly in our living room because
That's
he
awesome.
loves it. And he and Xena can both fit, and they're over 20 pounds. Like neither of them are little lightweights, but they both sit there, or they could both fit in there, but no, we have to take turns. We cannot share the camper. If one is in there, the other one is not. I'm like, you butt heads, like there's tons of space. Oh, we've got cat. Bye, cat. Enjoy
Ah.
dinner. See a cat. Get it for the cat. They won't use it. Yep. I need to get it free. Oh, yeah. The other day, just to be a brat, I got into the camper because they're always taking over my chairs and stuff. So I went and laid in Panther's camper. I wish I'd have taken the phone with me because the look on his face was like, get out my camper. What are you doing in there? He was like so miffed. Yes, you'll do fine, Jenny. I have faith. Ours built in
Yeah, yeah,
1880s.
yeah. So it is a thing, isn't it?
Makes sense. Puppets in adult situations can be hilarious. So true.
Yeah, well, just because that's talking about Farscape again, and Rigel, the kind of
Yeah.
toad-like character, is such an incredible character, really complex personality, very funny, infuriating. The amount of
Yep.
times he kind of tries to make deals with villains, and they're like, "What the hell are you? Where have you been? What are you doing?" and all that, and he's like, "I've just been sorting myself out," and he's
Yep.
an absolute turd sometimes. But but the way that, you know, and it's a puppet, you know, and it's operated by you know, two different people, and the pilot is operated by 6 people, I think it is. It's huge. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
It is awesome. Saw a video, someone looking at the sample size tents, camping warehouses, where to get one for cats. See? We're not the only ones. Now I have to go watch clips from the show. Be right
We
back.
could do, if you want. Be right back. If you want to get a little taster, this video is one of the videos that took me the longest to make. Actually, I had editing nightmares with this one, but there's a video on my channel which is 10 reasons why I love Farscape, and I did about 3 years ago. Yeah, 10 reasons I love Farscape, and if that video doesn't sell you on it, nothing will.
Jenny, we won't see her for a while.
Yeah, that's it. She's in the uncharted territories.
Take care, Constance. Thanks for joining. Sounds great. Added the first 3 to my ball chain.
Yay! Yay!
Well, Gareth, we didn't get to talk about your book club yet, but we've certainly sold Farscape.
Yeah.
And see, I've got my chart, and you're on here for Winter Wyndham and all your book club.
I just read a really good John Wyndham book, and I was so pleased because I wasn't sure what it would be like, because it was an early one of his, and it's not one that anyone talks about, and it was really good.
What'd you read?
Stowaway to Mars.
Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, nobody ever talks about it. It was so good, and it just kept adding things. Like there was like 30 pages left, and I thought, oh, I can't even imagine how it's going to finish. And there was like this extra bit. It was just like, whoa, you're doing that as well. You know, it's a really good book. So that was cool. John Wyndham was awesome.
Streaming it now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a channel on YouTube that's just constantly playing Farscape.
Really?
But you end up you just get thrown in the middle of it. You'll be like, what's going on?
Wow.
But you get a sense of the tone of it, though, don't you, if you watch a bit of it?
There you go. We'll see. And to be honest, when I was looking for books, and I was actually going to go clothes shopping, and then I thought, I don't go anywhere, so I got the clothes I need. And I've bought a ton of books, excuse me, from the thrift store. But then I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I should look. And I'm like, I want Day of the Triffids. And then I started looking at other books. So now Day of the Triffids going to go on my Amazon wish list.
Oh, such an amazing book. Yeah, definitely.
I love that book. I mean, I read Wyndham when I was in my early teens, and I read Day of the Triffids and the Chrysalids.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that was the only 2, but I remembered both of them. I mean, they're both impactful stories.
Yeah.
And then a couple years ago, I decided to read them again. And so, of course, I started with Triffids, and I'm amazed my library still had them. So I read Triffids, and I have Chrysalids. And then through the library, I read Midwich Cuckoos and Chalky. Loved all of them.
Yeah.
But that's all I've read is the 4 of them. But Triffids, so far at least, is still my favorite.
Yeah, it's my favorite. But some people think Midwich Cuckoos is his best. And I remember being shocked by the ending again. The ending of Midwich Cuckoos. I didn't know how it was going to get wrapped up. How are they going to solve this problem of these nightmare kids? And it's so good that it's like, that'll do it, and it's just without spoiling it, it's such a good ending.
It really was kind of don't know, someone just said capsis.
Capiche.
She's
talking about Farscape, I think. The dialogue is amazing in that show. The dialogue is fantastic. It's such a
28,000 subs. I'm surprised it isn't more.
People love it.
He's from Earth, wound up part of the galaxy accidentally. True.
Yeah.
And actually, he's American, is he not?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's the only Yeah, he's definitely the only American actor in the main cast, and most of the visiting cast are Australian as well. So I think
Yeah.
he's the only American in the show.
Exactly. Very American.
Yeah, he's very American. Yeah, and they play with that as well. You know, like he makes
Yeah.
references to Star Wars, like Rigel's character. He calls him Yoda sometimes, and you know, and he says things, and they go, "What are you talking about?" And he go, "Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about." He's made a reference to Back to the Future, I think, at some point, and you
Mhm.
know, the other characters, they're aliens. They don't know what he's talking about. You know,
There's that. So we got sidetracked. Your book club. Okay,
the
so
book
you
club.
have now I looked that up on at the library and the holds are redonkulous to try and get the book that you're reading. But the way that you have it, you can also read other books related to neuroscience. Like talk about the
Well,
themes that you have.
yeah, so basically, just quickly say that the reason why I thought it'd be nice to say or a similar book is because when I did a book club thing, when Scott was around and he started this science fiction book club, the
Mm.
second book we chose, I couldn't get it without spending like 20 quid. And it was frustrating because everyone
Uh,
else talked about it. And I was like, oh, I've missed out there. And I'm still
yeah,
looking for it. And it's such a hard book to find. And actually, some of the books, well, I'll definitely going to be hard to find that I chose to do for this book club.
yeah.
But it was a kind of a thing where I was debating whether or not to be part of the Historathon this year, like late last year, because I was so bad at it last year. And then I decided I still would anyway. But before I decided that, I thought, well, I want to make sure I read some nonfiction in 2025. And one thing that I really am interested in, but I don't read enough of,
Yeah.
is like philosophical stuff. I read a lot more of it years ago, and I want
Mm.
to read more than I am reading stuff about the way we think and the way that we act. So neuroscience is quite a cool thing, and like uh, sort of religion-y things maybe, and things about just the way we like cultural things as well could fit into it. So
Mm.
I had quite a big canvas to play with as far as which books I wanted to pick. And I thought if I do it every 2 months, it means that nobody's got to panic and go, shit, I've got to try and fit that into all these other
Right.
things I'm reading. So, you know, you could take it slowly as well. And I read nonfiction slowly.
Mm.
So, you know, this first book is quite a short book, but there's a few of the books that are quite big. So I will definitely read those in bits through the 2 months, you
Yep.
know. So I just sort of picked I actually first picked about 9 books and sort of reduced it to 6, thinking that's all right, I can do that. And if I feel like this year I've enjoyed it, which I don't know because it's early days, but if I feel like I'll do
Yeah.
it again next year and pick 6 other books that I feel like fit under the belief and behavior idea.
Cool.
Um, yeah, so because like the behavior thing, like one of the books I picked was the book Why We Sing,
Mm.
and I think it'll be really interesting to read. I can't wait to read it. But clearly that's a behavior thing rather than something about how we think. Whereas this one is neuroscience, so it's definitely about how we think. You
Yep.
know, so this is a scientist writing about actual case studies of people with like that are kind of neurodivergent and things like this is
Mm.
like well before we were using that language a lot because this has been out donkey's years. But I thought this was a nice one to kick it off because it's not um, I don't think it's as I think it might have more appeal than some of the other ones. So I thought, I might be able to get some people that might have read it with me.
Mm.
But I don't know. I've never done a book club thing before in here, and I don't know if it will go well. Because it
But you
depends
don't
on
know till you try, right?
yeah, and it depends. For me, it'll be if other people want to read it as well. Whatever book it is, or
Yep.
similar books. Like you say.
Okay, so in that theme, and I couldn't find it, my little house gremlins must be playing with things. I have a book called Star Trek on the Brain, I think, or
All right.
Star Trek Brain. And I thought I had it with all my Star Trek books getting ready for book track, but no, it's not there. But it's by two psychologists, and they use Star Trek to explain human behavior.
That's
Would that
awesome.
would that count? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I need to find that
That's a
book.
book about how the brain works, you know,
Yeah.
and in the sense of behavior as well. So yeah, absolutely, yeah, brilliant. That's cool. I like that. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. See, Margaret's a wealth of
Oh,
information.
there we go.
Star
Yeah,
Trek on the brain, alien minds, human minds. Those are the two psychologists. Oh,
brilliant.
and
Yeah,
she's got one for you too. Dancing in the streets.
yeah. Dancing in Streets. That's a really good kind of history of if it's the same one. I think it's a history of um the '60s music scene and stuff like that. I think Dancing in the Streets.
That was in my brain, didn't have to. Oh,
But
see, searching.
mixing those two though, mixing those two. So Star Trek on the Brain and the music reference.
Yep.
There's a really good one called "This Is Your No." Is it your "This Is Your Brain on Music"? I think it's called,
Hmm.
and how music changes our brain and how our brain reacts to music. It's a fantastic book.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, "This Is Your Brain on Music."
I'll have to,
Yeah, that's a good one.
here we go. Mass movements, revolutions. Awesome. Well, and that's the nice thing too, with
Yeah,
the book club is because if people can't get it, and I was years ago part of an in-person book club, and that was the bugger of it. I ended up buying so many books I did not enjoy, and they were not inexpensive. What
yeah,
I
yeah,
learned is a lot of authors I don't want to read,
yeah,
but I paid like 20 some odd for each. It's like, damn, I'm not
yeah.
enjoying this.
Yeah, yeah.
So nerds to that.
It's funny you say that because there's a new style of book club that's been suggested at work. So obviously, I work
Hmm.
in a college, and
Yeah,
one of the other teachers has suggested where maybe we can start a book club where we don't read the same books, but we meet up and chat about what we've been reading. So it's
nice.
like, yeah, so no one is necessarily thinking they have to read a particular book, but we're
Yeah,
just sharing our reading experience with a cup of tea or whatever. That sounds good, doesn't
that sounds lovely. Chaos has returned. I think
it?
that's a great idea because, again, like I say, sadly, you know, we ended up buying these books and they weren't authors I enjoyed. It would have been so much easier to just, hey, who are you reading or what have you?
Mm,
And that's why I love the idea of your book club and the way you presented it is okay, well, if you're not reading this book, something similar. And as you were going through the topics, I'm like, I've been meaning to read that Star Trek book. That's neurosurgery. And
yeah.
then I think is your second month fairy tales?
I can't remember.
I think because I've got
There's one on fairy tales. Yeah, yeah. So that's about how the fairy tales reflect how we our approach to society and stuff, isn't it?
yeah, and this I think is almost a textbook from a course because I picked it up at the thrift shop
Nice.
and it goes through like anthology folk fairy brings together 52 stories from a range of historical and geographical traditions. And they go through, so I was thinking, well, that will be perfect for it.
Yeah.
And I see, it's what I have my handy dandy chart here. So
Well, one
Gareth,
of the things that you might like, because one of the books is definitely on the history of paganism,
yes,
and
that's in May. It's on
yeah,
my chart.
awesome.
And for that, Gareth, I have by Anne Mura, Green Witchcraft 2. She has a series of 3 books. I've read this before eons ago, but I love this author because it's not all woo woo, scary goo. It's
Yeah,
very based, earth based, but this is balancing light and shadow. And I
right.
love this book because, and shadow isn't like dark, evil, that kind of crap. It's the side of ourselves that we don't show everybody. And sometimes we don't want to look at ourselves, that dark part of ourselves, but we still need to bring it into balance. It's not evil, it's not bad, and we need to be balanced, light and dark. because everybody has those sides. So that's definitely going to be in that. I have to admit, this is one of my few cover buys.
That's
Witchcraft.
awesome. That's
This
a
is
great cover.
by this is by Pamela Ball, The Book of Practical Witchcraft. But I love the symbols and it's black and
Yeah, it's
yeah, I have
lovely.
a whole basket of pagan books I will have no shortage of, but I'm also doing a massive study this year. I'm starting the Bible next month, and I got a study Bible from the thrift store, and you only read like 10 minutes a day. So if I stick to that, then it'll be 3 years. If
Right.
I may be having a day that I'm feeling a little more into parables, which to me is what the Bible is, I may read more than the 10 minutes but I'm also at the same time starting a huge pagan belief project. I mean, I've read about it for years and other stuff, but I thought it would be that perfect balance of one side and learning the other side. Because the more I've delved into a ton of these different spiritual paths, they're all saying the same thing, just a different way and speaking to different
You could,
people so that
yeah,
different
yeah.
people are
You,
spiritual.
you could add the Quran to that if you read the Quran and seeing
Yeah.
what the similarities are. And when I had this really long conversation a few months ago with some Muslim students that I was teaching, and they were telling me who God is to them based
Mm,
on what the Quran said, and it was kind of interesting because it's it was what they were saying was a very different take on um, what you often hear about
mm,
the Christian God. And it was interesting. So there would be some differences, but there are definitely massive similarities. Ultimately,
yeah.
the big religions are all doing the same thing. Although paganism is similar because a lot of the other big religions that came after it just nicked ideas from paganism
Mm,
and just wanted to keep the pagans happy by just adapting what they were doing into this new thing. So that's
yeah.
part of the reason. But there does seem to be this sort of, I don't know, this the stuff that we don't really ever know the answer to. It seems like we've always had the same answers to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah. The reading club mayhap. Fairy tales. See, there
Yeah,
you go.
cat's an expert.
Yep. I have two of the three. That is, I believe, the Anmura. The third book is the manual. It's a study guide because she actually taught classes. I'm not sure what state she's in, but she had a book one, which is a basic introduction, and she specifies green crafts. So with plants, nature, very earth based, grounded spirituality. Starhawk, on the other hand, tends to focus more on her fairy Wicca tradition, and she's led her own groups, but she's also a huge environmentalist. Um, so yeah, Anne Moore is a very good author, and yeah, I enjoy. I don't like these ones who make it all woo woo, what rah rah. It's like, give me a break. Like, no, pretty sure the goddess is up there going, "Psh, psh, what are you doing? Wait, we're not supposed to show different sides to different folks. That all depends, Kat, and that's all I'm saying. What like a now I'm not sure. A
Like a
dried
driver. That's a Jewish reference, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
could be perchance. Whoops, here we go. Deep in this didn't finish 12 Swans. Tried it. Now see, I haven't read her 12 Swans. I love her Earth Path because it's all about permaculture. So it just briefly even touches on the pagan side of things. It's more about why it's important for animals to be out in fields and why we need plants. And yeah, It's a great read. I started with her Spiral Dance, and the irony is, I ended up learning about Starhawk when I took religious studies as an elective in university because I thought, I'm not sure what I want to take. And I'm like, this will be interesting. Um, because I was born and raised Roman Catholic, but God and I had a parting of the ways after all the sheet that happened in my life. It's like, dude, this ain't gonna work between you and me, so I gotta find something else. And it wasn't until I went to university and I went, okay, this makes a little more sense, because part of what I came across is you choose your own family, and that's how I managed to get rid of the rage that had ruled my life for quite a bit of time. Because if these are the people who taught me what I needed to continue on in my life and get the lessons and share what I learned, then I didn't feel like, as angry as I used to be.
Mm.
It's like, pillows and pencils were not safe around me. But yeah, it was a good thing to exploring the other path for sure.
Mm.
Depends how many sides does it see. I no clue. Just know, oh, they spin and land on a side. There you go. I do like to spin. Oh, only 4 sides. Have my doubts. Tend to wake up. Mary Poppins. Pretend that's all I got. There we go.
But when you talk about the witchcraft books, I just wanted to
yeah.
say that that the actual books on the witch hunting and stuff were some of the stuff I was choosing. Like I eliminated them in my choices, but those were candidates. And if
Yep.
I do it for a second year, there's definitely one book I would pick, which is The History of the Devil. So it's a really good book that I've had for years. Mitchum Beld, I think is the author's name. History of the Devil. I will probably, if I carry it on the second year, I'll do that book at some point, which is really good. So it's just how we've invented this character over the centuries and who it's and what it's meant and why he was there. It's a really good book.
Yeah. Good night, sweetie.
Good night, Jenny. It is very late. So, Jenny, you've stayed up a long time.
She has. But yeah, that would be good. Well, I also, and it was interesting when I was at the thrift store because for the first time I actually put, and I was surprised to see it at the thrift store and I wasn't passing it up. It was a copy of The Witch's Hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I need it in front of me to pronounce it properly, so I'm not even going to try. And it's nice because when I go there, it's usually the same 2 clerks. So we chat about a variety of things. And the one's looking at me like, why would you want that? I'm like, because I got to know. I've read all these other books. I may as well find out what kept people going for hundreds of years. And,
Yeah.
there's a
Maleficious
copy of it.
Malecorum, is it called? Yeah. Yeah, no, I studied that, and I used that in my studies when I did my history degree.
Yeah, see, you could really put a lot of that stuff in context. Like you and Vin both have backgrounds in history.
Yeah, I did a unit, a module on the witch hunts. It was really interesting.
Mm,
Yeah.
there's a lot there for sure. Ah, see, Gareth should go to sleep too.
I know. I'm gonna have some egg sandwiches soon. So,
Yeah, that's your kind of thing after Alive,
a
isn't
late
it?
treat. Yeah, I'm itching to stick the frying pan on.
I don't know how you can. It's like, no, I can't eat that late. A cookie maybe, but not an egg sandwich.
I was going to eat these all night, and I didn't. I got some prawn crackers, but I didn't. I didn't eat them in the end. That's all right.
There you go. You have them for next week. You can drive Dave crazy instead of cookies. Eat some crisps or biscuits. Feel so old. Took a nap. Still probably sleep before 3.
Yeah.
After who knew?
Who knew?
Anyone who's ever watched Gareth on a live
Yeah,
TV.
Dave usually says, "You're gonna have your egg sandwiches." Then he often
Yeah.
says at the end. I love the fact
Yeah.
Dave says, "Are we gonna call it?" Like it's a dead broadcast. I love it. Are we gonna call it?
So, see, it's only 7 for Margaret. Be
Right?
asleep before 9:30 anyhow. I'm just coming on 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
And
that
is
makes
it
sense.
3 for you, Gareth?
It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah, because UK, it's the now, do you work on Friday? You surely
Yeah,
can't.
yeah. I gotta get up at 7:30.
Oh, my Lord. Man, you're crazy. That's why I said let's do this at 3 o'clock.
And I've got quite a lot to do tomorrow as well, in the sense of I'm going to start a new kind of project theme kind of thing with my first years tomorrow. I've got 2 first year classes tomorrow, and we've got
Oh,
to cover. I know what I'm going to be doing with them, and it's fine. And half of it will be practical, but I need to talk to them about the beginnings of the video age in the music industry and how that changed
oh.
things. It's kind of a really interesting thing to talk about, and we'll be showing clips of Ed Sullivan Show and the Beatles and Procol Harum and stuff, and Pink Floyd and stuff like that. So it's quite a fun lesson, but I've got to make sure I'm ready to go.
Well, I think I agree with Margaret. You need to get some sleep. Kat's going to be up till midnight-ish, and we never did get to finish the whole book club thing. Sorry, Gareth.
No, it's fine. I mean, what I can go for a bit longer. What did you want to say about the book club thing?
No, I just wanted to see Margaret's going to watch your thing.
Oh, brilliant! Thanks. Yeah,
Kat's
yeah.
agreeing. Do you people not sleep over there? I mean, Ven's running on low sleep. You hardly sleep. Jenny's up till 3 in the morning.
Well, I did
Maybe
fall
a
asleep.
UK booktuber thing.
Well, there's a bit of a thing in it, but that most of the booktubers, it seem to be American. So we gotta stay up if we want to talk to you live. We've got to do that, haven't we? So there's a little bit of that
I'm
going
not
on.
in America.
No,
Don't
you're
you go
Canadian.
down that road, you Trump, taking
Well,
us over shit.
yeah, you will be soon. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be taken over
Canadian.
by.
Okay, I adore
But
you,
no, but a
dear.
lot of them
But that's how
Americans, aren't
many
they?
fingers I'm holding up.
A lot of them Americans. So I think that's why, because I made a decision. Yeah, when me and Dave were talking about it, it made sense to do it late, and it's fine for me. But I did go to sleep earlier, so I've had some sleep tonight. You know,
Oh, good. So you did
so
have
as which is part of the reason why I thought when we were talking about what time to do it, I thought,
yeah.
well, actually, if we do it at midnight, it's fine because I can sleep beforehand as well. You know, it's just and they do say, what is it? 3 hours sleep is when you start going into a deep sleep. So if you've gone, sorry, it's not after. If you've had 3 hours, you've gone into REM sleep twice.
Mm.
So you need to go into REM sleep to properly let go of the day and rejuvenate yourself. But if you've
Yep.
gone into it twice, that means you've had,
Enough.
a night where you've certainly had a substantial amount of sleep. So when people say 8 hours, that's 4 times that amount and a bit more. So I don't think you need 8 hours, but I need 4 hours. 5 hours is better. I don't need 8 hours. 5 hours is good for me. But I usually only get 4. So
No, see, I couldn't function like that. I need at least 6 to 7,
right.
but it also takes me a while to get to sleep. Now, my insomnia is ironically actually improved over the last few years.
Right.
So it would be brutal. Like when I was working, I'd maybe depended on the day and what was going on, but there'd be days when I had maybe 3 hours sleep and I'd go function for the whole day and come home and it'd be like, no, I need more sleep than that. But well, at least for me, I call it busy brain. It's just everything's, even with
Yeah.
journaling, it just gets stuck and it goes round and round.
It depends on what you do in the day as well, because obviously because teaching is a performance job. You're
Yeah.
in front of people and you have to be on it. So your adrenaline takes over anyway. So
Yeah.
if you are slightly tired or sleepy or whatever, you won't be once you're in front of that class. And then
Yeah.
that's why sometimes at the end of the day you suddenly shoot down and go, because that adrenaline's kept you going.
Yeah.
Which is why it is quite common to hear teachers say they've gone home and just fallen asleep. Because you're not performing anymore.
Yeah.
So if you have a job where, say, it's more like an office job or you're working at home, then you might, if you are tired, you might need more self-discipline to keep awake, because you haven't got that adrenaline keeping you
Yeah.
going, have you? So there is that. But
Yeah.
I go deep sleep very quickly.
Oh, yeah. See,
So
no, not for
once I
me.
fall asleep, I'm so asleep.
You're like my hubby, who I've thought of putting the pillow over his head more than once. As soon as his
See,
head
I told
hits,
you, she cares more about you than she does her husband.
see, his head hits the pillow and he's out. Like it's not
Yeah,
even 2 minutes, he's
yeah,
out.
yeah. I'm like that.
I'm up tossing and turning an hour and a half later going, how do you do that? I hate you right now.
But I
And
have to be in the right place. So if I thought I'm going to try and get 7 hours tonight, I would sit there awake with my
stressing
brain
about 7
worrying
hours.
about stuff. So I just get up again, because that's the
Yeah,
thing. If you're trying to go to sleep, your brain doesn't think of good stuff. It starts worrying about stuff.
yeah,
So I just get up again and think this is not happening. I need to distract myself. And then if I'm really tired, like if I'm reading and I can't read anymore, I think, okay, it's time to go up.
yeah,
If my eyes are closing or glazing over, there's you can tell if
yeah.
it's time to go up. So
Yeah, see, and for me, if I move, like if we're watching TV or something and I'm drifting off, or I'm reading my book and I'm drifting off in the living room, by the time I've put my book down, turned off the lights, everything, gone to the bedroom, I'm awake again. It's like I should have just slept on the couch. I
yeah.
would have got a good night's sleep, but no, I got up, I went, and now I'm awake, and I'm like, I hate that. But that was a big part of why I do journaling, and I do it at night because
Right.
that's the best way to dump everything
Yeah.
that's in my brain. Just bloop, 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 and
Yeah.
then it's not whirling
Yeah.
around as I'm trying to sleep. But yeah, or my hands. Yeah, no kidding. I still can't believe Tesla conned all these people into those stupid electric cars and all the minerals it takes that are hard to find, and they're non-recyclable. Like, honestly.
Well, they're going to find more minerals when they go to Mars. You heard
Yeah,
about that?
I'm
Yeah,
sure
you
that's
guys,
right
not you
around the
guys.
corner.
Yeah, the
That'll be
Americans are going to put loads of money into going to Mars.
the 3/4 to be loopy but awake, 12 to really catch up, not nap. In between leaves me sleepy and angry. See, I can't do naps. They do me in. Is there a sleep book on the list?
Yeah, there is. There is. Yeah,
Well,
there is. It's
yeah,
While we sleep. While we
December,
sleep. Yeah,
November, sleep and
yeah,
dreams.
and
See,
that
I
is
do
the
have all your topics down.
yeah. And I chose that because it is a really important thing to me, because my sleeping is so weird and my body clock is so weird. And I thought it really, and it was reassuring when I found out you don't have to have 8 hours, because I thought that's never going to happen for me.
Yeah,
Um, and I am fully functioning when I haven't had 5 hours, 6 hours, and I've had five or something.
yeah.
I do, if I have like 4 hours or 3 hours, I am too tired. So I need to be careful. But yeah, the book, I wanted that book to be on the list because I do think it's interesting that
Mm,
um, the sleep is really important. It does, it makes us function properly. There's all sorts
yeah.
of things it does, yeah, I think it's a good one to look at, for the way that it changes our behavior and stuff.
Well, and the darkness is important too because it resets the brain. All this
Yeah,
light pollution, I'm not surprised there's issues with whether you call it mental health or mental illness. I get why people call it mental health. There's not the stigma. Part of what gets me calling it that, though, is how many people wake up in the morning and go, "Oh, I'm so full of energy. I feel vibrant. I can't wait to start the day. There must be something wrong with me. I better call the doctor and get this checked out." No, you call the doctor when you feel like crap, and it's not so. But I get, tomato, tomato, either term, but all this light pollution, there are issues because your brain, your body needs total darkness to reset. However, it's your circadian rhythms, I think it is. Oh, Margaret needs 7 days to not murder somebody. Once a week, long crash day.
Yeah. Sometimes that your body does that to just reset. That
Yeah.
happens to me sometimes as well.
Yeah. See, 3 or 4 wouldn't be pretty with me either, Margaret.
Right,
I
I
need.
want Margaret do a live stream after 2 hours sleep.
It takes a lot not to attack. Can't have caffeine. Yeah, see, I'm a coffee drinker, but it doesn't keep me awake. Ah, see? Margaret's like you. You can both just boom. How do you do the 3 to 4?
Yeah.
Is it a guy thing? Can snore at the
Side
sight.
of a
Yep,
pillow.
I
Yeah, maybe.
agree. Clear conscience.
It's a clear cut.
One of
There you
my
go. Yeah. Ignorance. I thought she was being nice, but she's saying that we're ignorant.
Loopy second wine craze, low sleep, lasts for a few hours, need a nap. See, not a nap person. Then I don't feel like doing anything. Knock me out on the couch. Oh, we'll forgive little man. He's adorable. Just say billionaires.
Yeah, it's not all Americans. That's like that's like when Me Too was happening and men would go, yeah, not all men. It's like clearly it's not all Americans are lunatics, but
yeah, exactly. Call a doctor who's rich enough. Yeah, well, at least here, Cat, we can.
yeah,
Some of them may not be worth much, but we can go see them for free.
you've got a health service, haven't you?
Well, yeah, we've got our OHIP and that, and it was in a live a little while ago. I can't remember when, but I know it came up a couple years ago. My husband had to have emergency gallbladder surgery. He'd come home from work and was saying, he just wasn't feeling right. And then in a little while, he's like, maybe we should go to Emerge. So I took him and dropped him off. And then it turns out he had to have gallbladder surgery like then. So thank goodness we got him there. And then this and that. And it was about 3 days before he came home. And I remember Kat saying to me, how much did that cost? I'm like, nothing.
Nothing.
And she's like, what? I'm like, nothing.
Yeah.
Well, we had to pay a little for his meds, but his benefits from work cover that. So I think that was $1, but the rest of it didn't cost us anything. And she's like,
yeah. See, I call that common sense. I don't understand this, that. So some Americans would call that socialism. It's not socialism. It's just common sense. You put some money in a pot and everyone gets healthcare.
Well, and that's it. And dang, that healthy's cheap. Fruits money. Oh, the Chinese burn from red. Why do Americans eat like they have free health care? But I mean, it's true. And I mean, it's not technically free because it's, money from the taxpayers, people to contribute to it. But
it is free from the point of view that you could be someone who pays into that pot all your life and never goes to the hospital.
Yeah.
And you or could also be someone who pays into the same amount and goes to the hospital every 6 months, for your entire life, and whenever you are ill, you will be treated. And however serious that is, if you get cancer and you need really expensive treatment for a number of years and it comes back again as well, so you get 2 or 3 times, you will be treated. And there's no issue about that. You're never going to be like, oh shit, where are we going to get the money from? You know. It's just absolute common sense. It's the weirdest thing that you got people going, well, that wouldn't work. It's like, why the hell wouldn't it work? I don't understand.
Yeah,
It's
and
so
see,
weird.
rather my taxes go to healthcare than, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. It's fundamental.
And weapon systems, yep.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and imagine how much stress would be decreased if you knew you were sick, but you could get health care. Think of
yeah.
in terms of even employees being able to go to work instead of going to work sick or whatever. It's like if you're sick, you get taken care of. If
Well,
you need
I've just the flip side of that. I've got a doctor nagging me to go and see them because I'm really bad at going to my appointments. And I've got another message from her today going, Gareth, we need to do blah 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 this,
oh
and you
yeah,
need to
because
see me
yeah,
because of my diabetes. And
yeah,
and I was given a blood pressure machine and a blood. I got this thing I was supposed to put on my arm to test my blood sugar, and I haven't done it yet. And she wants some facts and figures. I haven't
mm,
got them all yet, and she's nagging me. She's going, "I need to sort this out. You know, we need to blah blah blah." You know, that is like the opposite of somebody in America that might not even go to see a doctor or a hospital because they're worried about the cost of it.
yeah,
And you know, I've got my doctor nagging me to go because it's about that I should have gone by now, sort of thing. And she asked me to do these things and I haven't done them yet.
yeah. Well, we've got cat job doesn't even allow sick days. I enjoy going and coughing and visiting with management.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, go to the doctor.
Margaret's always giving me advice.
That's
I would infuriate her. I'd be like, I'm going to go and sleep.
yeah.
It's 20
Well,
past 3.
yes. And you still have your egg sandwich before you're gonna
Yeah,
nod
I'm
off.
gonna put the kettle on, so it'll be a cup of tea as well. There's caffeine in tea. I can't go to bed without a cup of tea. So there's that as well.
That's okay.
Yeah,
And I
I
drink
have lots of
coffee
tea.
before I go to bed, and it has nothing, it doesn't impact my insomnia. Like it doesn't phase me. I don't know. And other people I know can't drink it, after a certain hour. Good night. Thanks for
She's voting
joining.
with her feet. Um,
Sure. Caught
is there
over.
only those two left
Oh,
anyway in the chat? How many people are actually
yeah.
watching
Oh,
this?
it says 5 up on my thing. We've
Okay.
had a few coming back. Passing the family. Oopsie. Bad girl. All right. Well, we're going to make sure that Gareth gets his egg sandwich, his cup of tea, and a couple hours
I've
sleep
already
before
fallen asleep.
work.
That's not that. I'm
Oh,
asleep.
no. He's showing off his feet.
Oh my god.
Well, thank you so much, Gareth, for your time, the chat. We covered, hey, I think we almost covered everything we planned to.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't talk about my books, but whatever, mate.
No,
You weren't interested anyway, so it's fine.
well, now you're just going to have to come back.
Awesome.
After I order your book so I can read it, and then we'll talk about that one. And you
And
can
you can
talk
go,
about all your
what
other
is this
books.
crap? Well, how long did you spend writing this bollocks? You can say that.
Well, see, and now you can razz Dave.
Yeah, you can set them off about socks again.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
but you
just
can
reveal my
razz Dave
socks.
because he didn't come to support you on the live stream, but you came to support him when he scared the hell out of me letting Olive roll off the chair.
Yeah, I remember that. No, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks, Elaine, for bringing me on. And
It was awesome. And yeah,
yeah.
I do kind of feel bad I didn't have your book to hold up. That was
No, it's fine.
thinking on my part.
It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's outrageous claim to call myself a writer anyway. Who do I think I am?
You have what? 5 books? 4, 5?
So 3 fiction books and 2 poetry books.
So that's 5.
Yeah.
You're an author.
And a lyrics book as well. That's 6.
6.
And a little tiny poetry kind of thing that I did for my kids. So 7 if you include that.
You're an author. Okay, I'm going to hit the end stream button. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Gareth. I'm hitting the end stream. Never